You want style points, Canes fans? Well, let's go through a little exercise here. Get out a piece of paper while you have a second. Take a pen and make a big fat 8 on the left side of the paper. Then add a dash to the right of the 8. And then lastly, put a big 0 to the right of the dash. That's 8-0. It's pretty beautiful. It should look something like this. Isn't that the only style points that are necessary as the number 5 ranked Miami Hurricanes get ready to welcome Manny Diaz back to town this Saturday at high noon as the head coach of the Duke Blue Devils? The Canes Nation was in a bit of a state of panic Saturday night, even though Miami was always very firmly in control of the game against Florida State. But we got so used to the flash and the dash of Cam Ward in the passing game in the first 7 games this year that everybody forgot that Mario Cristobal has built this team to be able to play smash mouth football when it needs to. And by keeping its safeties back in the middle of the field and getting after Cam Ward up front, while also locking down the Canes receivers for the most part with their talented cornerbacks, the Seminoles dictated just that. They made the nation's top offense beat them in a way that it had not won to this point in the season. It was a sound strategy, but boy, did the offensive line answer the call. Matchups are going to be different, okay, in every remaining game. So there are no guarantees at all that we will see that same exact script play out again. The Cam Ward Heisman campaign, it'll ramp itself back up. It could gather steam as soon as this weekend if Ward is able to master his knowledge of Manny Diaz's blitz schemes, make the right calls at the line of scrimmage, and get the ball to the right guys in the face of what you know is going to be a lot of pressure. That's Manny Diaz defense. We saw it here for several seasons. Speaking of that Heisman campaign, by the way, isn't it a shame all those experts around the country that have dismissed Cam Ward this week because he had a pedestrian victory against Florida State, a modest game, little over 200 yards, no touchdown passes, but Miami winning by 3 touchdowns? Ward has won every single game that he's played this year, and that should matter equally as a 400-yard passing day. We're going to talk about all of that and more tonight as we embark on a new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and we welcome you once again to the People Show, CaneSport Live, which is presented this evening by Caneswear, your ultimate destination for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. If you want to wear it with a U on it, you got to go to Caneswear. You can visit their store, 2655 South University Drive in Davie, or you could shop them any hour of the day or night at Caneswear.com. So this is your show. It's going to be driven by your participation. If you'd like to come on the show, all you got to do is shoot us an email at CaneSport@yahoo.com, CaneSport@yahoo.com. I'll put it up on the screen here as well. And if you'd like to come on the show, all you got to do, just shoot us an email, and we will send you the link to the studio. We bring you on the show in the order that you land in the studio. And you're also encouraged to participate in the show by utilizing the chat function on your screen. We will address a good majority of those questions and topics during the course of the evening. Matt Shodell is going to be joining me first tonight, and then later in the show, be joined by the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. So we have a full night planned for you. As always, a program note. Next Tuesday is election night, and I feel pretty certain that everybody's attentions are going to be focused on that. So we are not going to have a CaneSport Live show next Tuesday night. to allow everybody to watch the election returns on Tuesday evening. We will still have a Lamar Thomas show next Wednesday night. So you guys hopefully can join us for that. But let's get this party started now. Let me bring the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Matt Shodell, onto the screen. And Matt, good evening. You look like your normal happy self.
Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited.
Well, you should be excited because you know what?
This whole day is already gone. The whole night's already gone off on the wrong foot. You do know that a camera lens is the same as a mirror. It reverses the image. So when you put up that 8-0, you do know it looked like 0-8 to everybody, right?
What are you talking about?
I'm just messing with you. I'm messing with you. But it does look like a small child wrote that. Why couldn't you write that yourself? Why'd you make some small child?
Because it was a quick exercise. I scribbled an 8. I put a dash. I scribbled an O. And I threw it up on the screen. I wasn't looking to win any art contests.
All right, listen. Can I preclude Greg with something right now? Because I don't want to have to deal with him yelling at me. So I'm going to preclude him by I already know what he's going to attack me for. He's so predictable. Greg, can I do this now and get it out of the way or not?
Go ahead.
All right. So I think people misconstrued some of the things I said on Good Morning CaneSport this morning because they think I was like attacking the offense. I think the offense is terrible. The offense is amazing. Okay. What I had an issue with, and I generally do a very poor job of explaining things to everybody, not just you people out there, whoever is actually watching this, if anybody is, but what I was trying to say is eventually Miami is going to go up against some really good teams, and they haven't played any really good teams. That's my opinion. Okay, people can disagree. They can think Virginia Tech's one of the best teams in the country. They could think Louisville is. They could think whatever. I personally don't think they've played a really good team yet. My concern is I want them to be ready to beat one of those really good teams. And the way they're going to win games is on offense, not on defense. So when I see FSU has learned all of their route trees to the point that literally no one's open and Cam Ward looks like he's holding the ball too long, which he is because no one's open, like that concerns me. And what I was trying to express is there need to be some different wrinkles on offense. Get the tight ends involved, do some mesh routes. Do some stop and goes off of a route you already normally run that they had already studied, because it was very obvious in that game FSU knew exactly what routes Miami was running, and that's what they defended, just like that. And I understand Miami was able to run the ball and they took what they were given, okay? But there will be a game in the playoffs or in the ACC championship game where they're given the run against, maybe 4 really good defensive linemen and a really good linebacker, and there's still 6 guys defending behind them, right? And in those situations, you need to not only be able to try to run the ball, but also be able to pass the ball effectively with things that will surprise that defense, put that defense on its heels. That's what I was trying to get at, and people got upset because they thought I was saying the offense was bad. The offense is amazing. I'm trying to look ahead, like I always do, because I'm a freaking whack job who's not happy with the status quo, and I always worry about the future. And that's what I was worrying about this morning. Okay, that's all I was trying to do.
You never,
Greg, you can yell at Gary for something, okay? Because I apologize for appearing to have said or criticized the offense. It was a futuristic, nonlinear, incoherent soliloquy by me, and I can apologize for it if you want. But hopefully I just expressed a little bit better what I was trying to say this morning that people apparently got very upset about.
I usually don't agree with you, but in this case, I kind of do. I don't know if it was that they knew all the route trees to a T, which I'm, listen, they study everything. They draw they map every route, and they do look at probabilities. And yes, of course, Florida State's preparing for Miami year round, and Shannon Dawson now has a pretty lengthy track record as offensive coordinator, and so yeah, like they've mapped every route that he's ever had in an offense, and yeah, so they do have a pretty good idea probably. I also think that Florida State matched up athletically with Miami's offense, and listen, we all love Xavier Restrepo. He is going to break the records. He's going to be the all-time leading receiver in Miami history. One of the most amazing accomplishments we'll ever see, in our lifetime as Hurricane fans. But when he has to go up against an athletic secondary, a secondary that can run, he struggles to get separation, and he has, for his entire career. And if you look back, he has not had the big games against the teams with athletic secondaries, and he was struggling to get separation the other night. They were bracketing him. They obviously were looking out for him, and they weren't going to let Xavier Restrepo get off on Saturday night. And it just was what it was. And that's, I think that it was really good because, as you astutely are noting, Matt, this is a prelude for what they're going to face down the road. If they got to play Texas or Georgia or Ohio State, those teams are going to have good defensive backs, and they are going to have to find different ways to move the ball. And we didn't see a ton of passing game to the backs. We saw one play to Arroyo early in the game that was very successful, and I'm not sure, double check this right now, I don't think he had another catch.
He had like 20 yards, I think.
Yeah, but that was all one play, right? I don't think he had.
The last two games, the tight ends production has been very similar to last year's, which is hard to say with a straight face. I think they have a total of 30 yards combined, all the tight ends the last couple of games, and they had been so involved.
He had two catches.
Yeah,
so he had one other in the game. And the second one, I think, went for like 4 yards.
I was really expecting Elijah Lofton I thought Elijah Lofton, as this year went on, would get more and more of a role. He's gotten less and less of a role. So, that's, to me, that's unfortunate.
That's an obvious weapon, and the type of thing you're talking about that they can develop here late in the season and be ready to roll that out when they need it later in the ACC championship game or the playoffs. Because I think it was obvious after watching that game on Saturday night that they do need to continue to develop other ways to move the ball through the air. As great as they ran the ball, and hopefully they'll always run the ball that great, you do still have to have balance. And more passes to the backs, more passes to the tight ends, I think, would go a long way in that regard. All right, Matt, let's just go. You called them out, so we might as well go right to them and start the night with our man Greg. Hey, Greg, welcome back. You've really resonated with Matt Shodell a lot. Like he's got Greg on his brain.
If you look at us closely, Greg is actually me 20 years in the future. We had a little time travel mishap, the two of us. And, Greg is Matt part 2. Or I am Greg part 1.
All week, Greg. All I hear all week is Greg. I gotta be ready for Greg on Tuesday night. So I don't know if he's ready or not, but let him have it. What do you got for us this week?
Okay, I'm going to take it easy on you tonight, Matt.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't hear your soliloquy this morning. So anyway, Miami's number 1 or 2 in the country in scoring and offense. So Florida State was the first team that figured out their route trees. None of the other teams scouted them. Give me a break, Matt. All right? Okay. Gary, I'm going to give you a compliment. You ready?
I'm ready.
Gary, after watching...
Don't do it, Greg. Don't do it. I'm begging you. Greg. Don't do it.
After watching Ja'Cory Brown play the other day, you were absolutely right 3 or 4 years ago. That guy has
4 years to come around on that.
Well, you were right.
Thank you. And I take no pride in that, by the way. It was just very obvious to me from the very beginning. I wish it had not become such a thing for so many different reasons, and I get them all. But like that kid, if he would ever just become a receiver or an H-back, he will be unbelievable. I'm just telling you. I get why he's not. Why it's such a hot button, and I totally understand. But this is a career. This is millions of dollars we're talking about here. This is a young man's future, and the people that are around him, advising him, are doing him a disservice in not steering him in that direction. We'll leave it at that. He doesn't play here anymore. But
okay.
If he's running out of time, to do that, but we'll see.
All right. I wanted to congratulate everything on his prediction that it would be a nail biter in the 4th quarter. Okay. Now, Matt, you had an article, I think, about turnovers. Manny Diaz, he
Yeah.
caused 6 turnovers last week, and they still lost. So what does that tell you?
That's actually incorrect, Greg. I have to correct you. He caused 9, and they recovered 6, and they still
Oh,
lost.
sorry, I only knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
Duke is not good. Like everyone's like, oh my God, the Duke defense. SMU had over 450 yards. Duke's played nobody with a good offense all year. You know, they're not like they're sort of a fake mirage defense. Like, are they very aggressive? Are they really, really good against average teams? Yeah, but against the 2 decent offenses they played this year, they haven't done very well.
Okay. Maybe Dawson should pull out the tape of that running play North Carolina ran against us for about 600 yards.
Right?
Yeah, maybe.
We should use that against Manny. Yeah, the counter.
Right. Okay, now, I never saw a 43-yard quarterback sneak like I saw the other night by Florida.
It wasn't a quarterback sneak, Greg. Do you know what actually happened? Because they explained it.
What happened?
So this is, you couldn't tell until Lance Guidry told us, but one of the FSU coaches apparently threw his own team under the bus and told Lance Guidry this, according to Lance Guidry, and said that they were only trying to draw Miami off sides. The center wasn't supposed to snap it, but then the center snapped it, and nobody knew that he snapped it. And Akeem Messer was the only guy who actually reacted. And you see him charge right down the line, but he's going at the running back and doesn't even touch the quarterback. And now the quarterback has the ball and doesn't know what to do with it and just starts moving forwards. And the Miami players are standing there because the FSU offensive line had never moved because only the center had snapped the ball, and none of them thought they were going to snap the ball. It was 4th down. They were just trying to draw Miami off sides. And then I think it was Ruben Bain. There was somebody who sort of got their hands somewhat close to the quarterback, and one of the offensive tackles just sort of like pulled the quarterback away from that guy, and he ran for 42 yards or whatever. But that play was not even supposed to happen. It was a freak play. It really wasn't. It was just one of those weird plays. It wasn't like schemed up, and there was nothing like that.
All right, can we talk a little about Ray Joseph? You telling me we don't have a guy on that roster that's a better return man than him? What happened to the days of Santana Moss, Tremaine Mack, Devin Hester? Where tell me Robbie Washington couldn't do a better job than him? He's not good, in my opinion.
Well, Ray's not the main return guy. Chris Johnson is.
No,
on kickoff. But Ray, he's talking about punt returns.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
no,
you're not wrong.
I don't disagree with you, but they're trying to, I don't agree with it, I think, but they're trying to keep guys happy and maybe not have them transfer and stuff like that. I think Ray bulked up a little bit. It appeared that way to me in the spring. He just doesn't look as quick, but he's a lot stronger. I think if this, I honestly think Xavier Restrepo should be the punt returner. I think they just don't want to use him with a lot of reps. I don't know who. I don't think Robbie Washington should be back there. I agree with you that Ray is a non-factor in returns. I think it should be Restrepo personally, but
to his credit, at least he's catching the ball. And I know that's not saying a lot, but it's a big deal when you're putting a young kid back there that they not fumble the punts. And he's been catching the ball, which is good. And he's been, other than a few earlier in the year that he should have let go into the end zone, he's been using pretty good judgment back there too. So he's doing okay. I don't know what his future is in this program. If they are recruiting the way they should, he will not hold up and will end up in the transfer portal.
So now you were talking before about nobody could get separation. Jacoby George does not get separation. Why don't we try Nye Carr or JoJo Trader? Give them.
They're not ready yet.
They're
not ready yet. I mean, that's why that's why. I mean, they're not better than Jacoby George or Horton.
Oh, Horton! I love Horton.
Yeah, Horton's playing great. Restrepo's going to set the records. Jacoby George is way better than any of those young freshmen. So they're not going to take him out and put the freshman in.
The receivers are not a problem. It's just, a little bit of tweaks here and there. The receivers get plenty of separation. It's just one game, and it might be a little bit of an overreaction, but you don't want to see DBs that are athletic able to figure out the route trees and stick with guys. Like, I understand, Greg, in the other games with slower DBs, it doesn't matter if they know your route trees, you're running right by them. FSU did have athletic defensive backs who have been taken advantage of by other teams, but they were on top of those routes, man. They knew what was coming. They knew where guys were going, and that's why guys weren't open. It's not that they couldn't create separation. They've created separation all year until this game.
And I'm not agreeing that it's not a problem. I think it is a problem.
It was a problem in this game.
And I think that the message has been delivered loud and clear. It just has to be received. And that message is, when you play a team with a good secondary, you better have a little bit more offense in your arsenal and be able to go to some other things that you don't normally get to, that you probably should go to anyway. I mean, you look at the backs coming out of the backfield, the tight ends catching balls. I mean, it's about as good as it gets. I mean, I don't know how many teams in college football have backs that can catch the ball the way Miami does and get upfield. And you've seen Martinez do it several times this season. And the tight ends, it speaks for itself. Arroyo, Riley Williams, and that's before you even get to Elijah Lofton, who.
What about wheel routes from the running backs? Remember, that was Rhett Lashley would do those wheel routes successfully with Jalen Knighton all the time. And Danny Martinez has that kind of pass catching ability. I mean, you match him up with a linebacker or safety, he's got a pretty good shot of making a big play, but they don't. There's just so much they could expand and do, and they don't. It's a little frustrating sometimes. Even though the offense has been so good, it's just, against a great defense, they need some of this extra stuff, and they probably should get some of those reps in doing it at some point.
Yep.
All right, I'll let you go. Let's see if everything's calling for another nail biter this week. All right.
Well, let's find out. All right, Greg. Always a pleasure. All right, well, let's find out if everything's calling for a nail biter this week. Welcome back to CaneSport Live. Greg's giving you props. You said it was going to be a nail biter against Florida State. I'm not sure that a 3-touchdown game qualifies as a nail biter, but I'm sure you'll take his adulation.
I really appreciate that, Greg and Gary. Gary, thank you for emphasizing that with my intro here. But I just want to point out, what was the score at halftime again?
It's
one-score game, two-score game?
Yeah, well, it was 17-7 at the half.
17-7. So we all know that's still called the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you knew Florida State wasn't going to score more than 17 points in that whole game anyway. But yeah, I know what you're saying. That Florida State offense was one of the worst. That Florida State offense made Miami's worst offenses look good. I mean, that was a pathetic.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah. I'm just interrupting you. That's why I think we can't hear you. I learned from Gary. I think he can't hear us.
I think he dropped. All right, we'll get back to him. John Bird's Matt says that he believes Miami would have won by more at Louisville if they would have run the ball more and let the talented running backs dominate. What do you think?
So really the last two games is when Miami's running attack has come alive. And honestly, I think a lot of it has to do with Jalen Rivers, because I think their best lineup is Jalen Rivers at left tackle. Is Jalen Rivers at left guard and Markel Bell at left tackle. Those guys are just freaking physical bruisers, because Miami started off this year when Jalen Rivers wasn't there, and they were sort of a really good pass protecting offensive line and not a real good run blocking offensive line. And now you see they're doing both. Well, they actually probably were worse pass blocking than run blocking last week, but they're adept at both. Jalen Rivers, you can't underestimate how big an impact having him back is for this team. He's probably one of the three most valuable players on the offense. Like, if there's three guys you don't want to lose, one's Cam Ward. I would say one is Jalen, maybe second, Jalen Rivers, and maybe Xavier Restrepo, or Elijah Arroyo, because there's a lot of running backs. But like, that's how important he is. And I think it's fair to say if they did this, if they did that, they wouldn't win a 1-point game. They wouldn't win a 3-point game. They win by a lot more. In retrospect, in hindsight, you could always say stuff like that. But you have to remember, against Louisville, Cam Ward was lighting it up. You know, he was throwing the ball very successfully. So I would argue when you find something that's working, why would you go away from it to a large extent? Like, I understand working the run in and obviously being balanced, but I wouldn't say run the ball more. Like, they were crushing Louisville offensively against that defense. And I wouldn't second guess what they did in that game at all.
All right, let's go. Let me get rid of that, and then let's go back to everything. Everything, you back with us?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a connection issue here. But, Matt, I agree with you. I mean, at this stage, there are a lot of things that we need to take into account. We haven't really had an issue with getting separation for the most part. There were some routes that they were well-versed in, and pretty much when you look at everything that we ran that day, the primary thing was to run the ball. I mean, this was a total Mario type of offensive scheme from the very beginning, to dominate the trenches, to go ahead and wear them out, which they did, and just control the line of scrimmage, which they did for the most part, with the exception of one, I would say, missed tackle by 7, 8 guys, and a nice pull by the offensive lineman on the quarterback that he got out. But besides that, we totally dominated the line of scrimmage. The last score they had to end the game. I mean, that was pretty much, we had some starters in, we had some subs in. Either way, they had a nice drive, and that's college football. People are going to score on you. But it wasn't because we pretty much were not playing at the stage of we've got to get a stop here. I mean, I didn't see that. We were just kind of going through things and not playing up to where we need to play to. But for the most part, that game has illustrated to me that no matter what, when you play Florida State, you've got to go ahead, or Florida. You've got to win. You got to win in a resounding fashion. If you do that, you give yourself an opportunity to make gains and make waves with the recruits here in the state of Florida. The state of Miami is optimally what we want to control. But for the most part, it served its purpose. Moving on to this Saturday. And yes, I'm going to appease Greg here. Yes, it's going to be a close game. They've got an athletic quarterback, in my opinion, who's going to give this defense fits. We have a linebacker who's having a tough time spying on guys. He's getting slower and slower. He's not had the year that he had last year. That's Kiko. The best play he had all day on Saturday, he was beat, but he was able to recover and go ahead and knock that pass down on that wheel route. So for the most part, you know, they present some challenges. They do force offenses to turn the ball over. We know what Manny Diaz does. We know exactly what he loves to do, and that's what they're going to be doing. That team is well coached. They're together, and they're playing for each other. The things you want to see, that team embodies that. Do we have more talent? A lot more talent. We do. But it's not going to be a walk in the park area. The Cuban Bowl will not be a walk in the park for Mario Cristobal. You can book it.
Right when you said athletic quarterback, you lost me. I mean,
yeah,
he can move his feet, but his long run is like 5 or 8 yards all year. He doesn't run the ball.
He's an athletic guy. He's a big guy. He's not a little guy.
He's a big guy. I mean, he'll move his feet, but he's not going to get out of the pocket and run. He's not a dual threat that you got to have a shadow on. There's not going to be a linebacker taken away on defense that has to watch this guy. Their offense is one of the worst in the ACC. Their defense is one of the best, but again, they've played almost worse non-conference competition than Miami. You know, I think they played Elon, North Carolina A&T, maybe. I don't have to look at their schedule, but their stats that everyone's touting them are fake stats. You know, just like people think this is going to be a real election in a week, it's going to be a fake election. Nobody actually even votes. So they just decide. You know, some cabal decides who wins. No, I'm just kidding. But no, they played Elon. They beat UConn by 5. They played Middle Tennessee and crushed Middle Tennessee. That's where they got most of their offensive stats from. They scored 45 points. Outside of that 45 points, they haven't scored more than the 27 points they got in overtime last week in any game. You know, they're not a scary team on offense at all. And to tell me that, you know, basically Miami has to score 28 points to essentially guarantee a win, in my opinion, because of that. To tell me they're going to hold Miami under 28 points, like, that ain't happening. Just ain't happening. Miami's going to win this one pretty easily, in my opinion.
So you would say that the spread is correct?
20 points is not a good spread for any ACC team against any other ACC team. But I did predict 38 to 17 or Yeah, predicted 30-17 for the Florida game. This game, I could see, I don't think their defense can hold Miami down. I could see a 35-14 type score. I think very similar to what I predicted for Florida State. I really do.
There's one thing, Matt, that we don't do in the run game that really this scheme always has given Manny's defense fits, and that's counters. We don't run enough counters.
Well, they don't design the counters, but if you watch some of Damian Martinez's runs, he turns them into counters, But you're right; they should have some more designed runs, especially against Manny Diaz.
I mean, guys who love to shoot the gap. I mean, that's what you're giving up. So that's why counters work all day. I mean, it's not calculus.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, guys, I appreciate your time. Look forward to another great game, and I think it's going to be a good competitive game, not a nail biter. But it'll be a good game. It won't be a walk in the park in the Cuban Bowl.
All right. Greg, make note of that. He didn't say nail biter. All right, everything. Thank you for being part of the show. You got it. He's at work, and he's jumping up and down, which means we better go to him quick here, and that is our main man, Kane. Welcome back.
Hey, man, Gary, look, ain't a lot to talk about. I'm tired of crying fans. I lead a Dolphin game on Sunday. Said, damn, the coach blew it. We could have won. We didn't. So I said, I still got my cane. So a dude gonna walk beside me and say, well, we ain't no good. I looked at him and said, huh? When we play Georgia and stuff, we gonna lose. I said, man, we ain't no. Can't y'all just be happy for once? You cried for 5, 15, 20 years and you still want to bitch about we're not going to beat Georgia, this and that. Then he want to say, we did beat Florida State last night. He's a clown. That's what it is right there. Ain't no, baby. I heard you a little bit this morning, Matt. I heard Matt this morning. I had to turn it off. Matt, you made me mad as hell. But I get you. I understand what you're saying, man. I understand exactly what you're saying. So all I can say is, fans, stop complaining. The board was lighting up. Cam, everybody love that. That's the old school offense. Just score and score and score. But you got to win all kind of ways, right? You got to win all kind of ways. And we did. Cam didn't force balls. He took what he had against Duke. Now, like you said, how in the heck do you 9 turnovers, 6 recover, and you still lose? Is that really possible? Has that ever been done in history? That somebody turns the ball over that much and doesn't win? Miami ain't gonna turn that ball over like that. Y'all know that. Everybody knows that. Well, like you said, we can't judge the defense. Matt and Gary, you made a point. I guess we'll see down the line, but just win. Get to that darn game in Charlotte so I can be there. I will be at the Duke game this weekend. Just win. Fans, be happy. Damn, we ain't no. This team ain't like 2017. It's much better. We're going to go places. It's not like Florida State 13-0 either, because 13-0, they struggled every game. Yeah, we done beat some cupcakes. We done came back from being kicked in the ass. We're going to be fine. Just keep on rising. Like I said before, sunrise on the 305. We're going to be fine. I ain't got a lot to say until we lose. And with that being said, 12-0, 11-1, 10-2, baby. We're on a streak, baby. 4 games left to clear the slate. Who you worried about, y'all, in them 4 games? What team? It's got to be one. Who is that team? Before I get off this phone, Matt and Gary, who is it? 4 games left. Who is that team that's like, damn, I'm scared? I'm waiting.
There's nobody.
That's what I said. Damn it, none of them.
Why did you say until we lose like it's going to happen, bro?
Go ahead and play well.
Well, okay, you want me to change that? I'll say until we get to the playoffs and see what happens. So I won't say these games here, but it's 4 games left. Nobody can beat us, right? Well, you can be, but Syracuse defense is terrible, like you said. Georgia Tech, the quarterback is hurt, and I don't know what they've really been doing this year. Wake Forest, that shouldn't be a problem, right?
No.
So, hell, we good, y'all. Canes fans, stop bitching and crying. Enjoy the ride until it slides. But we're not going to slide. We're just going to keep on riding to the 305. Till next time, y'all take care. I'll see y'all one of them games. I got 2 more to go, but hell, keep on running, baby. Y'all coming to Charlotte, because we will be in Charlotte. Unless a damn hurricane falls apart, and that ain't going to happen with the 305. Cam got him locked in. I seen that damn halftime speech. He don't take no mess. He said, damn it, y'all want to talk about it? Let's go get it. And they came out and got it. He reminds me of Gary. Nasty, mean, and don't give a damn. That's you, Gary. That's you, man. That's both of y'all. Let me get out here and help discuss it. Talk to y'all later. Peace out.
All right, Kane, go back to work, man.
Was that a compliment? Was that supposed to be a compliment that we're nasty, mean, and don't give a damn? I think he thinks that's a compliment to us. He was trying to tell us something nice. That was his compliment.
That was a hell of a mic drop, though. I love the way
I thought I was negative until I heard him compliment us by saying we're nasty, mean, and don't give a damn.
I love the way he just walked out the door and went back to work. In the meantime, fresh 35-42. I don't know. That doesn't look to me like somebody.
I already got the restraining order out. Don't worry. You can move on. To
I wouldn't want him calling me sexy. I know that, but he also says you're his dad.
Let me ask you this. Would you rather, because he just brought this up, would you rather just waltz into the playoffs, right, against some pretty bad teams, no top 25 teams on the schedule, or would you rather perhaps have to earn it and not make it because you had to play a Clemson, a Pitt, an SMU, whatever it may be, maybe even a better non-conference team? I know this schedule is not Miami's fault. I understand that. But I'm saying, what would you rather? Would you rather have a schedule that has 3 or 4 top 25 teams, or a schedule with no top 25 teams and a much better chance of being in the ACC title game and playoffs? What would you rather, Gary Ferman? Because I know my answer. What would you rather?
I want my team in the ACC title game in the playoffs.
You do? Oh, I was the other way around. Okay. I want them to earn it, because what's the point of getting to the ACC title game and the playoffs if you're not good enough at that point anyway? You'll learn if you're good enough or not from playing those good teams.
The way college football is, you can't play this game at the beginning of the season. I mean, none of us would have predicted Virginia Tech.
Maybe not the first few games, but I think after the first 2 or 3 weeks, you are what you are at that point. I know there can be wrinkles.
What I'm saying is,
players know what to do by that point,
None of us would have predicted that the Virginia Tech and Cal games would go down to the wire the way they did. That's just the way football seasons evolve. You can't play the prediction game. And listen, there's no guarantee that these last 4 games that there's not going to be some hiccups. Maybe Miami doesn't play its best. Do you find the fan base is energized by Wake Forest, Duke? They're not. No, they're not.
That's what I'm saying. So, I don't love that. I love having a week of excitement, a week of anticipation before a big game. I don't love we're favored by 20, whatever. And that's what it's been all year. All year.
I agree. If the fan base is showing up for some of the games.
You just disagreed 2 minutes ago. What do you mean you agree?
No, but I agree. No, I want my team in the ACC title game and in the playoffs.
You gotta have boring season and be in the ACC title.
How it evolves before that is, you can't. The schedule's the schedule. But I do think there's always games that are tougher than you think they're going to be. For one, and it never played anytime you try to play the WL game in August. It's an almost impossible exercise because these other teams, some of them are doing a good job in the portal and getting better too. Look at Pitt this year; they took a big leap.
I just feel like there's a little bit of weird apathy around this season in Miami than what there normally is. And I think if Miami had beaten an Alabama, an Ohio State, a Michigan in the first 5 weeks of the season, even with this lousy schedule, I think that fans would be like, fans would be more engaged than what they are. We are here. We have arrived. And I feel like even with 8-0, there's this perception that we haven't arrived. It's a mirage, and it's just annoying.
I agree. The fan base is not as engaged as it should be at 8-0. No argument. Callie Kane says he 100% agrees with you, Matt. Dawson needs to be more creative and have different things to challenge the defense. I think I was the one that said that, but all good, Callie Kane. But they are going to need to, when they play a team with decent defensive personnel, and it could start this weekend, have a little bit more in the offense. I think we agree.
And let me respond to D. Briz, who I assume is one of your children. Stop whining, Matt. I'm not whining. It's my voice sounds like a whine. The resting, what face? That's my voice. It just sounds like a whine. I've actually said a lot of positive things today. It's just they sound like whining because that's how I sound. It's not my fault. It's a genetic deformity.
Bonewell is pointing out they were on Yo ass this morning, okay? But Jennifer Miller wants you to know she understood you this morning, Matt. So Jennifer Miller is our one female fan, very knowledgeable fan, by the way.
Jay Mill knows what she's talking about, assuming it's a she.
All right, let's it's time for a drink. Let's go to T-Dogg. What's up, T-Dogg? Welcome back to CaneSport Live.
What's good, fellas?
You got a little mule for us?
What's good, fellas?
What's good?
So first of all, Ferman, I owe you some flowers. You were steadfast on the the Damian Martinez fan club. So I owe you your flowers. You were right about that. We should have been patient. He still doesn't hit it as hard as I like. He still kind of, I don't want to say tiptoes, but he doesn't, the acceleration isn't there for me. But I love his physicality. I love that he can catch out of the backfield. And he's a downhill runner. So I'll give you credit for that.
Different guy the last 2 weeks for sure. And Gary called it.
For sure. So I got to give you your flowers, Ferman. I always give you shit on the message board, but I got to give you your flowers on that one.
Thank you, man. It means a lot coming from you. Can you shoot me some fat kudos or whatever you call it while you're at it?
Hey, I'm gonna have to bring some to the game for you, baby. Secondly, I would like to personally start a GoFundMe page to upgrade Greg's raggedy ass Android phone and Matt's 5 megapixel webcam. So can we please start a GoFundMe for those?
It's not a webcam problem. My face actually is pixelated in real life, dude.
Is that what it is? Because
yes, people tell me all the time your face looks like a bunch of pixels glued together. I get it all the time.
Man, it's like I could barely understand or see you.
It's gotta be like everybody in his neighborhood's probably using the broadband tonight, so he's not getting a solid picture.
And then my main point for jumping on here tonight, and y'all have already been talking about it. I'm very nebulous on the idea of Shannon Dawson being a good OC, man. I really am. Granted, I love this year. This year's awesome. But let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it 100. Cam is 80% of the reason why the offense is the way that it is this year. And I find it very interesting that 7-8 games into this season, the offense looks exactly the same. I was at the game. I was at the FSU game. I brought the fam. We're down there. I'm literally like 5 rows from the field. And I'm like, bro, like my dad is yelling at me, why is Cam holding the ball? Why is Cam holding the ball? And just like what Matt said, well, first of all, nobody was getting open. I agree with that. But that is also because of the scheme. Think about earlier this year when we played that one team and they had like this little slot guy that was giving us the business. What team was that? I can't remember who that was.
Yeah, I remember that. Who was that?
It's like a little guy, little white dude. He was giving us a business. He put up like almost 100 yards or something, right?
Yeah.
He was schemed against our defense. He's not a better athlete than our guys, but he was put in position to beat our defense. And
could that have been Ball State or USF or something? It might have been USF.
Maybe it was USF.
I think it was USF.
I don't see our OC doing that. I don't. And maybe he doesn't have as much control of the offense this year because Cam is such an alpha and he kind of has, more leverage and he dictates what's going on. But I just don't see us.
Yeah, it was Sean Atkins, 11 catches, 125 yards. Yeah,
right. I promise you, like, bro, he's not going to be drafting like in the first 6-7 rounds. That guy, right? But his OC put him in position to out scheme our defense, and I don't see our OC doing that. Y'all brought up Lofton. When are we going to use this guy? He's a weapon. And I'm not saying he needs to lead the team, but he should have a game where you're like, oh, damn, that was a Lofton game. Oh, damn, there was a Arroyo game. That was, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see that in our offense. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if Lofton's fully healthy. I'm looking to see how many reps he played.
Yeah, but he was out there last game. I mean,
so I'm wondering how many reps he played. But, JoJo's playing a little banged up. Like, these guys play banged up. I don't know if coaches just are protecting them or something. I don't know.
It's weird,
well,
man.
A couple of interesting comments here. Jacoby Gragg says that he thinks Dawson was, playing possum a little bit and wasn't really using the offense because he wants to save things for Manny this week.
Famous last words. We say that shit every year about a
I'm
game.
not buying it either.
Every year they say, oh, they didn't do it. They didn't do it vanilla offense. They didn't put anything in because they want to hold it for the next game or the next game.
I'm not buying that.
I think Cam Ward got sacked back-to-back plays on the second possession of the game, and they said, whoa, these guys are ready to give us some problems up front. Let's run the ball. And running the ball worked out so well, they just stayed with it the whole game. That's what I think happened.
Yeah, so Lofton played 11 reps. Riley Williams played 22. Cam McCormick 26, and then obviously Elijah Arroyo played a lot more, 54. So yeah, he played the fourth most reps. He played a decent amount of reps. So I mean, I don't get it honestly.
Yeah. I think they should move to the quick game. Like when they notice that those long developing routes aren't working, they should move to the quick game. It's there for them. They got a big body in Horton who can catch slants. I think Ashley George, that's his best route. I think he does great routes with the 5-10 yard outs and with slants. Restrepo as well in the slot. Like they should go to the quick game and then go over the top. I feel like they want to be all or nothing. And then when the all isn't working, he gets a sack. He's holding the ball and he's scrambling around trying to make a play.
Well, William Crow fears that FSU showed everyone the blueprint of how to stop the offense.
I don't think that's not true, because we can just run the damn ball. I mean, so you're not going to stop our offense. We might not put up gaudy 500-yard passing yards, but
and go to the quick game, like you said.
Yeah, just go to the quick game. Like, everything doesn't have to be like chunk. Like, you can look like a Heisman winning quarterback throwing, 25 for 30,
And Callie Kane says Arroyo needs to be a primary target, which,
yes,
can play into the quick game.
There's no doubt about that.
And
they had mismatches there if they wanted all game last game,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe they're saving them for later in the season. I don't know. But Arroyo could have had one unbelievable season this year, and it's going to end up being pedestrian. He's still going to get drafted very high. I would have thought he would have been utilized a lot more.
He's one of those guys where they go to the NFL and it's like, wow, why didn't he do that in college? He's an 800-yard plus NFL receiver who's getting 300-400 yards at Miami.
Agreed. He's going to be a fantasy pick guy. One of those guys you pick on your fantasy teams for sure. So remember, I was bringing up the point of five-star coaching, and you kept asking me, what is a five-star coach? What is prime example? Look at SMU, Ferman. Look at SMU. With our guys, with our leftovers. By the way, y'all owe Manny an apology for his recruiting. Y'all owe Manny an apology because, hey man, the dude
not exactly beating great teams. Let's not get carried away. Okay,
I mean, the guys are blocking field goals and shit, and I mean sacks galore.
Oh, the Miami guys are stepping out, no doubt.
Yeah, man. So that's what I mean by five-star coaching. Like, I admit you have to have talent, but if you were to ask me, give me a five-star coaching with some three-star talent, I'll take that all day, every day over a guy who can't coach for shit and a whole bunch of 5 stars.
Okay.
I'm taking the 5 stars.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know who's had a whole bunch of 5 stars and didn't do shit? Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Exactly, brother. Exactly.
You gotta get the right 5 stars.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. A lot of these 5 stars come in and they're really, really hard to coach. Because they've always done it so easily, and the minute they come up against adversity, they're not used to it. The minute they're sitting and aren't playing, they're not used to it. Whereas guys who are 3, even 4 stars, they've had to earn it a little bit more. And I remember back in the day, these coaches would get the 5 stars when they were actually getting 5 stars at Miami, right? Before Mario came. It wasn't that frequently, but when they literally would have to spend extra time with those guys to beat them down in practice, to tell them how bad they are and how they suck, in order to get them to just focus on getting better instead of the glamour of being a 5-star, But if you get the right 5 stars that work hard, the Francis Mauigoa types, I mean, I'll take those guys all day long over 3 stars and 4 stars, and I'll take the bad coach with the Francis Mauigoas at every position. Thank you very much.
Hey, I got a data assignment for you, Matt. The next time you have some free time, go look up the greatest 3 stars of all time and the greatest 5 stars of all time, and you tell me where they stack up against each other.
Those studies have been done. Those studies have been done. And by the way, that's not a Matt Shodell job. That's like a computer I would have to create and run a program.
Supercomputer, huh?
Yeah, supercomputer. But they have done those studies, and it's not that big a difference, if I remember correctly, between NFL success for 4 stars and 5 stars. 3 stars, I think, is different, but 4 stars and 5 stars, not a big % difference in terms of them being drafted into the NFL. If I remember correctly. Am I wrong, Gary? You've seen those articles, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I would like for you to just go back just over the past 10 years and just look at
just over the last 10 years, every team in the country, or just like 100 of them?
Oh, like the top 100, the top 50, schools or so. Just
right. Listen, I'll get back to in let's see, it's 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027. All right, 2053. I should be done with this project.
I'll help you out. We can go half and half on it. But I'm serious. I really do think that there's something about a 3-star guy with a chip on his shoulder. Granted, he's got to have some talent now. I don't want to scrub, but he ain't got to be like, I mean, how many 5 stars have we seen come through this program? Not just here, but Alabama, everywhere else. And they're not really 5 stars. Look at all the accolades they gave to Earl Little Jr., and now he's a meme right now.
Can I tell you why it doesn't matter? Do you know why they're 5 stars? it's because they matured a little bit earlier than everybody else. It's
Correct.
like in
Correct.
the little league, the kid who's 5'2" as a 12-year-old and weighs 140 pounds is the greatest player you've ever seen.
I agree.
But in high school, he's 5'6" and 220 pounds, and he's just sitting eating lunch and can't get up off his chair.
Yep.
So like, you know, it's just a matter of timing.
It's lazy evaluation to me because you're looking for the easy, like, obvious thing versus like all those intangibles that you can't really measure. So
yeah, I mean, there's no stars who become great players. You know, it's just when guys.
Oh, Cam Ward, you mean? You mean like Cam Ward?
Yeah, exactly. Guys all at different rates, and the 5 stars are the guys who have physically filled out by their senior years of high school and are extremely athletic and have the right height and weight. I mean, it's literally just measurables, test results, and some stats, and you're a 5-star. You know, It's not the mental stuff. If they factored in, I would love to find a recruiting service that factored in mental and gives you a score. Not just you're a 5-star as a player, but hey, you're a 2-star because we talked to your coach and he says you're a freaking head case who parties all the time and shows up at games drunk, you know?
Right.
Like, I want that to be part of the star system because that's so important. That's why 5-stars fail. Is because they're not mentally strong enough. And there's no service tells you that. You know, I would love to see that.
Agreed. All right, fellas, I'm out of here.
All right, T-Dogg. Thanks as always, man. Great to have you on the show again.
Later.
No show next week, but maybe we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. You see me in 2 weeks.
Yep. All right, T-Dogg. Thanks for being on the show. Cry Sullivan, he has a message for all of us. Everybody just shut the hell up with all the damn complaining every week and just enjoy the wins. I think everybody's enjoying the wins. I don't think anybody's complaining. I think that, you know, we're at the point of the season where people are looking for style points that are not always going to be there, you know.
Well, that is complaining. Fans are complaining. Let's be honest. I'm not going to make stuff up. Fans are definitely complaining.
Crazy. But here's what's crazy, Matt. Here's what's crazy. We're getting ready to go into week 9. Okay, this team is not close to peaking. We have not come close to seeing.
This is why people are complaining.
The best that this team can be yet, and we're in week 9.
And by the way, this is the other component that people don't understand, who don't get the complainers. Okay. Part of being a sports fan, even of being a sports journalist, is nitpicking, right? That's what makes it fun. Hey, what would I do differently? Not, oh, I agree with everything they do no matter what they do. That's called being a Democrat or Republican. Okay, this is football. And in football, when you're sitting around the water cooler, they still have water coolers. When you're sitting around your whatever, your Brita jar on your kitchen counter with other people, like, you want to say, hey, here's what I would have done different. Hey, maybe we could win the national championship if they did this, if they did that. Hey, how come we only beat this team by 1 point? How come we only beat this team by 3 points? Should we have won by more? If so, why? That's part of being a fan. So I don't get upset when people complain. I know people say I'm a complainer. I'm very happy with how the team has done this year. Like, I'm ecstatic about how the team has done. Like, at the end of the day, you just got to win games, and they have. Style points, like Gary said, they do matter in the rankings if you lose a game. If they win every game against every team this year by 1 point, they've won the national title. It doesn't matter, okay? But if they lose a game, that's when style points matter. So right now, style points don't matter. They haven't lost a game. It doesn't matter they don't play anybody in the top 25. And don't get upset when people are critical of an 8-0 team that's winning every game, obviously, because they're 8-0, because that's what fans are supposed to do. You're supposed to say, here's what I want to see. Here's what I'd love to see more of. I think we could win a national championship if A, B, C, and D. Like, that's part of the equation of being a fan of any team, not just Miami.
Christopher Wright says he thinks the athletic tight ends need to get the ball more. I think we all agree on that. That's not nitpicking at all. And, you know, Jason says we were saying the same thing last year, which we were. I mean, we absolutely were. The tight ends were totally invisible last year. They haven't been totally invisible this year, but with the quality of these players, I don't know that we've certainly have maxed out the capabilities of the tight ends to impact these games and this season. But there's big ones coming up, man. There's still time, and you know, that's an obvious adjustment when you're playing a more athletic secondary that's not going to let your receivers just do whatever they want. Let's go to BK Hurricane now. Welcome back to CaneSport Live. How you doing, BK?
What's up, Gary? What's up, Matt?
What's up?
We're doing good, man.
What's
How
going
are you doing?
on? I'm hanging in there. I'm doing good. Listen, Florida State essentially showed the world nothing about how to beat Miami. They ran cover 2 the entire game. They came in saying, hey, listen, we're not going to let Miami blow us out. And mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. If they would have played a regular defense like they've been playing all year, they would have lost 65-10.
BK, let me ask you something. If FSU had actual competent defensive tackles, do you think that defense might have shown another team something that they could work on and perhaps work off of?
No, not with Cam Ward. No, not with Cam Ward. You're playing cover 2 the whole game. You can't do it. Miami will never play another team the rest of the year that's going to play cover 2 the entire game. Florida played like they had nothing to lose. They went for it on every 4th down. I'm surprised they didn't throw out the kitchen sink. I'm shocked. I didn't see trick plays. Miami will never play another team the rest of the year where they're going to see that an entire game. Miami will have a better chance in the playoffs because then you're going to see teams that they're going to listen. Georgia's not playing cover 2. Oregon's not playing cover 2. It's going to be their best guy against our best guy. Let's see who wins. And if we're going off of the record, they're going to win. Their best guy is going to beat our best guy. Florida State had no choice but to run that cover 2, cover 1 defense the entire game. They accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. They knew they were going to lose. They were just trying not to get embarrassed. And that's what happened.
That's actually really good.
That's exactly what happened. They showed the world nothing.
That guy should be on the morning show, not me. I think that's a really good point. I actually do.
They showed the world absolutely nothing.
BK just hit on the head. FSU was trying to lose, but not by too many points. That's a very fair point. Make them earn it.
It was obvious. It was obvious. They were trying not to get blown out.
It wasn't obvious to me that they were trying to lose by not too many points, but okay.
Listen. It was brutally obvious. The world knew it. They knew it. They couldn't compete the entire year. They were going up against Cam Ward. They said, hey, listen, let's halt this Cam Ward, Heisman campaign a little bit, and let's let somebody else beat us. And that's what happened.
That's funny.
Mark Fletcher, Damian Martinez, they were just running off big chunk yards the entire game. They slowed the game down.
Yeah.
They slowed the game down.
And really did. I like that.
They got what they wanted. If they didn't slow the game down, you're giving Cam Ward a chance to light you up. Oh, no.
And by the way,
unacceptable.
Just so you know, Gary, you're out of focus. Miami isn't, FSU is not the only one that went for it every 4th down. Miami went for it on a couple of 4th downs also. So
right, I understand that, but that was them trying to flex their muscle on.
Yeah, I know.
on Florida State.
Right, because Miami.
That was them trying to flex.
Miami scored on 7 out of 8 drives against a
7 out of 8 drives.
Against a real team, they probably score 5 out of 8 drives, right? Because you actually want to play field position in a close game. You're not going to go for it from the 48 or the 46 in, stuff like that.
And 2 of those field goal drives, they should have went for it on 4th down. 4th and 3, 4th and 2. Let's just kick the field goal. Florida State didn't stop in the whole game.
Right, correct.
The whole game.
They kept going for it. Correct. Yeah.
They should have gone for it. They probably would have got it, but Mario said, "Hey, let's just come out of here with the win. We'll catch them next year." You know what I'm saying? We'll catch them next year. But Florida State essentially showed the world nothing. And I agree with Gary. I'm still waiting on this team to peak. Pretty soon, I'm hoping and praying that it clicks. Something clicks with the defense. Something clicks.
It's interesting because we went through this a few weeks ago, and I said like not even close, and I went through the whole lineup of things that I was seeing could be improved. Now, I talked about running back Martinez busting out, and that has happened. So they're inching closer. I talked about tight ends being more involved. That has not happened yet, and that is an obvious area where they could still improve greatly. On the D-line, I talked about Tyler Barron getting back to being the Tyler Barron we saw at the beginning of the year. I think we saw that on Saturday night. He played extremely hard against Florida State, was very active and very effective. The linebackers, they played decent the other night.
Okay. They were okay.
Yeah, and the secondary, because it was not playing athletic receivers like what Louisville had, actually had a pretty good game against Florida State. So, we're inching closer to what we were talking about a few weeks ago. But there's no question this team is not peaked yet and can still get better.
I mean, I'm looking at it like this. Hey, listen, if Robert Knowles could have a good game here and there, why not?
Robert Knowles.
Why not a Diany Hall? I mean, like Diany Hill, have a really good game. Well, we really need him to have a really good game. So who knows what's going to happen? But real quick, the thing with the tight ends, right? I don't think we'll ever see the tight ends the way we used to see the tight ends, because I've never seen an air raid utilize a tight end very well.
They almost got to force it. Yeah.
Right. They have to force it to the tight ends. Unlike when Miami was running more of a pro style offense, you would see the tight ends go off, but you're not going to see the tight ends really go off in the air raid. I mean, that's just eye candy. I mean, these guys look good. Arroyo's out there running around looking like an NFL tight end, but they're not looking for Arroyo. It's not, Dawson is not used to having a tight end doing what Miami's used to a tight end doing. So I would love to see them go off, but we don't run that offense.
In this offense, it's got to be schemed up.
Yeah,
I agree.
We don't run that offense. So I'm not putting a big to do on tight ends. The linebackers played a decent game on Saturday. You surprisingly, like Florida State does have is a fast team. They're one of the faster teams in the ACC. They're pretty fast on defense.
For sure. On defense.
Right. They're pretty fast on defense, and the linebackers held up well against the speedier
listen,
tight ends and the speedier running backs.
Randy Shannon.
I'm sorry?
Randy Shannon handpicks their linebackers. He knows what he's looking for. Yeah. So he's always going to have decent players at linebacker.
Right. So, like they were pretty good, but when is Damari Brown coming back, or is he even coming back this year?
They say maybe later in the year. We'll see. I find it hard to believe someone's going to have not played the whole year and walk out there in the Syracuse game or something and suddenly be playing and be ready for the ACC championship game in the playoffs. I highly doubt that it will happen, but that's what we were told.
What about Austin? Did he play on Saturday? I don't remember seeing him.
I don't think so.
They put him in for 1 rep per Pro Football Focus, but I don't think he played. I heard he was out. I mean, I didn't look that closely, but I heard he was out. Somebody's told me he was out. Yeah. I don't know why. Pro Football Focus does have him with 1 rep, but I think they were wrong.
Okay. So listen, how confident are we in our backup quarterbacks, right? That at the end of the year we could run with one of these guys as the starter next year?
Honestly, I think they're very confident in Emory for starters, but I don't think you can answer that question until you see what's in the portal. I mean, they're not going to put blindfolds on, and if another Cam Ward pops into the portal and wants to come to Miami, that they're not going to bring him in here to compete with Emory Williams. I mean, they absolutely would. I mean, there's a lot of loyalty to Emory. Emory's going to have 3 years of eligibility here moving forward, so he's not in a crisis situation by any stretch. But I asked Shannon Dawson because I really wanted to hear what his evaluation was of Emory in practices this year, and he didn't really answer the question. And I don't think he wants to answer the question right now. He wants them to compete in spring practice. But I have to believe with the success that Cam Ward has had this year, if there is another potentially elite level quarterback that wants to come into this program by way of the portal, I don't see how they say no. I mean, we had running backs and they brought in Damian Martinez this year. It's paying off big time, right? I know AJ Allen's not getting to carry the ball as much as he would have had that not happened. I know Christopher Johnson is not as involved as he would have been had that not happened. But this football team is a lot better because Damian Martinez is here. So I think you'll see the same philosophy. I really do.
What's going on with Chris Wheatley-Humphrey?
He got hurt early.
He's done?
He's going to redshirt this year. Yeah, I mean, he got hurt early, and I don't know if he's done. I mean, he hasn't been playing in the games, right, Matt?
No, I think he should.
I can't say he has.
I think he's going to get a red shirt this year.
Yeah, and I think maybe he could even wind up a DB. They got to figure that out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. But
Okay.
but yeah, he got hurt early and missed some time, and that set him back. And he wasn't
All right, well,
playing
that's
ahead of
all I
Chris
got.
Johnson anyway, BK. He wasn't going to
All
play
right,
ahead of
that's
Chris
all I
Johnson.
got. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, man. Yep.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you as always for being part of the show. All right, Matt. It's almost time for us to let you go for the night and bring in the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. But before that happens, D-Briz has a question. Why are you so negative?
No, he's saying my son's negative. Can you
Well,
read?
no, because he corrected it.
He knows my son.
He corrected it to
Oh,
be
darn it.
to be so.
I just explained like twice why maybe I'm perceived as negative. A, it's the voice, and B, it's part of being a fan or a journalist. Like your job's not to always just be North Korea and say, hey, everything they do is right, and like let's set off a nuclear bomb on every opponent we play. No, it's like, what could we have done differently that might have been better? That's how you're supposed to think as a fan, as a journalist. And it makes you sound negative because you're sort of saying, well, maybe they shouldn't have done what they did. Whenever you have a different idea than the party line, you're going to sound negative to people who are true believers. D-Briz is a true believer. He also, I believe, if it is a person, a man, I don't know if a man or woman, whatever, whoever this person is, they also said, I do read the comments sometimes. They said, how come I don't bring the same energy to press conferences or these Zoom calls with the players? I assume by that he means how come I don't berate the players during the Zoom calls and berate the coaches during the press conferences? I'd be happy to do that. I don't think it would go over so well. That's why. I don't think they'd enjoy it,
Yeah, we're not looking to do that. Yeah. All right, Matt, go get some rest, man.
All right. Later, everybody.
We'll see you next time. Christopher Wright is making a point here that the Carrier Dome, I don't know about the winner part, but that last game of the year, Syracuse, Carrier Dome, you just have a feeling like, and I know they got their butts kicked by Pittsburgh last week, but you just kind of have a feeling that could be one that could get a little tricky, Thanksgiving weekend on the road. We'll see what happens. The Canes, I'll be shocked if they just walk through the park in these last 4 games without any challenge whatsoever. Like that would be a good sign in one sense, because it would mean that they're getting better and better and better and teams can't stay with them. But that just doesn't seem like reality. Look at the first part of the season where we had to deal with Cal and Virginia Tech. All right, let's bring in the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. Talk about a little bit of a blur there, but hopefully that'll get straightened out. Bruce, welcome back to CaneSport Live. Before we get back to our guests, your general impressions coming out of the FSU game.
We won. We're 8-0, just like
8-0, baby.
Post. What? We're 8-0.
8-0.
We had 3 games before that I had, like I said, I had about 3 or 4 strokes and 5 or 6 heart attacks. I didn't have any heart attacks. I watched the game. They never really competed with us. They were down from the get-go. You heard Cam Ward not happy with his performance, and he was not happy settling for 3 field goals. The reality is, if they didn't score that last touchdown, it would have been 36-7. By the way, did Mario ever explain why he went for 2 at that juncture?
Because they have a chart and they don't care what the score is. That's number one. And number 2, Mario wanted to win by as big a margin as possible.
Yeah, all right, but you could have still won if you kicked the extra point. You had 30.
I'm 100% with you. I know people that lost their bets because they ended up getting a line of 22.5 instead of 21.5, okay. and that was the difference in them winning or losing. So
right. I don't bet, so I don't care about point spreads. But yeah, I can understand why people are upset. Ward was not happy. I'm sure he spent all week and is spending all week in that.
Well, they're knocking him out of the Heisman race over it. It's unbelievable.
Who knocked him out?
A lot of the people that do Heisman forecasts around the country. Now all of a sudden they're saying Dylan Gabriel and Travis Hunter and the running back Genty. Like they're saying Cam Ward's number 4 now because he only threw for 200 and something yards in the Florida State game and didn't have a touchdown pass.
And won by 22 points.
Points. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, who has Oregon played this year? They haven't played too many great teams, Oregon. They haven't played that many great teams.
They played Ohio State, though. And they won.
Right, they beat them by a point. But, but that's one game. That's just one game. The rest of the season, he hasn't done that. Look at the stats that this kid has, Cam Ward. Anyway, I'm not worried about the Heisman, and I don't think he is either. He wants to win. I was impressed with a lot of things, the defense, but I do have issues. I'm kind of like Matt. They got in the backfield a lot, but that kid escaped a lot. And if you've noticed in the last few games, a lot of the quarterbacks are not getting sacked. They're escaping, and they're just running past our guys and creating plays. I thought they should have called the ball dead on both of those plays. The one with Martinez and the one with the quarterback from Florida State that he escaped and he ran for like 40-something yards. I didn't like that, or the lack of a call on those two. But you have to feel great about the offense. Here's another thing, though. I watched your show this morning, and I do agree with Matt. You know this, Gary, when you know a pass rush is coming or a blitz, one of the first things any coordinator would do, screen. I hear some people on here talking, we don't need to screen. Yes, you do. Because teams...
I don't think we've seen a screen all year.
Well, not a screen to the back. They throw these little side passes to the guys. That's not a screen. And Florida State has seen enough film to know that's not going to beat them. You got to let the receiver go down the field and you dump it off to one of your backs in the flat. Now, I know last week you were talking about, you can't play Chris Johnson all the time because they know he's going to get the ball. How about using him as a decoy? Let him get the ball once or twice, then play action, fake to him. Everybody's going to come up and go over the top. But be a little more creative. I don't think Dawson, I agree with Matt. He's not as creative. There are things you should be doing when you get to that line of scrimmage and there's a blitz. Just change the play to a screen. I don't even know if they have one. With a quarterback like this, they should have a screen. He's so damn dangerous. But it's really hard to complain about too many things, especially when you're 8-0 now and you got Manny coming into town. I love the running game. They really, really, really trampled Florida State. But you know what? At the beginning of the season, they got trampled by Georgia Tech in Ireland, right? Running the ball down their throats. They only threw like 11 passes, Georgia Tech. So, yeah, it worked. And I don't think it's such a bad game, but they didn't convert 3 times and they wound up with field goals. This kid's automatic anyway, so they won. They won by 22 points.
I was trying to remember if I saw him out there. I don't think Chris Johnson got an offensive rep last week.
No, but he got on. Didn't he return a kick or two?
Yeah, he did kick returns. Yeah,
right. I don't know if he got in there. He may have gotten in there and didn't get the ball. I don't know, but you got a weapon like that. You got to use him. But you could also do the same thing with Fletcher and with Martinez or AJ Allen for that matter. He's probably a very good screen guy. But they got to do it. You just can't say, okay, well, they're playing too deep. We can't go down the field, so let's just throw little dinky passes. No, there's ways to set this up. I think, and I'm still not sold on him as an offensive coordinator. But again, when you have a guy like Ward who creates something out of nothing, absolute nothing, you can't complain.
Definitely can't. All right, let's go to Adam. Adam, welcome back to.
Hey Gary. Hey Bruce.
How you doing?
He's out of the cave that he was in last week.
Yeah. Better like a couple things. One, I want to follow up on the previous caller. What do we have in place so that UM 2025 isn't like FSU 2024, where they lose everybody and then the bottom falls out?
Well, we're losing receivers, right? Who are we losing from the D-line? Barron? Simeon Barrow?
Yeah. Elijah
all the rest of the 10 D linemen that they brought in last year, they're all going to be here. All those kids are going to be
Justin
here.
Scott will be ready to play. Adam, I think the answer is they're going to do the same thing they did this year. They're going to assess their roster. Yep. They're going to move out the guys that don't have a chance to play to create spots, and they're going to hit the transfer portal as they need to. I don't think the formula changes. I think it starts with honest evaluation of your talent, and Mario's great at that. He's not afraid to make the tough decisions. That's why I look at a guy like Ray Joseph and I just wonder, is he going to be on this team next year? Because I don't, a guy that's not really making a contribution and not showing signs that he can go to another level in today's world of college football with NIL and now revenue sharing coming and all those, you can't afford to have those guys taking up cap space.
Yeah,
so I
thought this guy might be another Kevin Williams or something like that. but he whatever quickness and burst he had, he lost it. He did gain a lot of weight. He's thicker. You could see it right at him. He doesn't look like the same.
Well, no, he doesn't. And I was thinking not Kevin Williams. There was a player around his time named Jonathan Harris.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, I think
Jonathan
that
was like 5'6", 5'7".
Oh, okay.
But we say he doesn't look the same. The same as what? Like he hasn't.
He looked last year. He was skinny last year, but he was quick.
Yeah, but he didn't have any more effectiveness. And he was skinny. He couldn't get off jams and couldn't play. So he had to get stronger. He got stronger, but it's not making a difference.
Yeah, and the O-line that decommitted today, this guy Moogs, was this more just a parting of the ways and is just moving up the board?
Not sure on that yet, whose decision it was. But I'm guessing, that maybe he's not having the best season and they decided to move on from him. But
okay.
Yeah.
And a couple of things. What is the key, because obviously Duke created, 6 turnovers last week. So obviously a Manny Diaz defense, they're going to be aggressive. What's the key in stemming that and just getting an easy win or not?
It's funny because I asked Lance Guidry that question this week. I said, Lance, what's the secret sauce? You're playing a team this week. They had 9 strips or 9 turnovers potentially last week. They got 6 of them. 3 of them went back to the other team. Miami's been struggling in that regard this year. Miami's not getting a lot of turnovers. And, I asked Lance Guidry, what's the secret sauce? And he said nothing. It's just, he seemed to suggest that there's, a lot of circumstance and luck involved in it, but I'm not sure that's true. I think Manny Diaz coaches very, very hard the idea of turning the ball over and stripping the ball. And I think he coaches that very directly and gets the benefit possibly from that. Go ahead.
And then also because Cam Ward, he is a gunslinger. I mean, he's a great quarterback, don't get me wrong, but he does take risk. How is he going to minimize that so we're not in a dogfight in the fourth quarter instead of up 20-25 with the talent discrepancy?
I don't know if those are dogfight. Adam, you know what? The defense isn't helping them. They scored 52 against Louisville when there was a nail-biter with 52 points. It's not on Ward. It's on the defense. They're not making plays. They're letting these guys get chunk yards constantly, 50, 60-yard pass plays, running plays. We can't even seal the edge. I was talking to Greg Mark the other day, and he said they're still having problems with it. He said, did you see Tyler Barron go inside the tackle last week? He's supposed to go up once the edge is sealed, then if he wants to cut in. But you don't cut in right off the beginning. They just did it. They're getting around our corners.
And speaking of Tyler Barron, not to mention his good game, but did Mario mention anything on his late hit when he clotheslined the quarterback or gave him a forearm shiver when he would have gotten off the field?
He made a comment about stupid things, but he didn't specifically name him. But that had to be what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because that was just dumb.
Yeah. I mean, we would have gotten off the field or they would have gone for it and we would have gotten it deep in our own territory.
Yeah. Those are the things that are keeping some of these teams in games.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's all I had tonight. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, Adam. Thanks as always for being part of the show. Let's go out to Sebastian. You're live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Sebastian. Now he'll agree with me. If Duke's going to start coming after us, there's where you throw screens. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
you got to do it.
You want to slow down that pass rush. And the thing I remember when Manny was here was, impressive as our defense was, a lot of time we were feast or famine. If we were able to beat that initial 1-2 seconds of whatever blitz or scheme that came up, there was a lot of big plays that could be on the back end. So as I see this game, I'm going to watch it because as long as we don't get in 3rd and long and we don't have a lot of tackles for losses, I think it may be a long day for Duke. But if we get into a lot of 3rd and longs, it may be a long day for us. So I'm not kind of sleeping on these guys.
You know who's a big-time screener? One of Mario's former coaches, Nick Saban. He knows when to screen. They screen people to death. Now,
Yeah.
if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. I bet it's good enough for you, Sebastian. That's what
Yep.
you should be doing until they stop it.
Yep, until they get a chance to do it. The first thing I just want to say is, to be getting ready to hit November and to be 8-0 has to be a good feeling. I mean, we can knick-knack about a whole lot of things, but if we win the next 4 games by just a combination of 1 point each, that's all that matters to me. I mean, just get to Charlotte and, put a team on the field and let's see what happens when we get to the postseason.
Sebastian, I'm going to call you out. Don't lie. Don't lie on this show. You're not going to be happy with 4 1-point wins. Come on, Sebastian.
Well,
look at all these guys making comments. Sebastian's crazy. He's out of his mind. I'm just kidding you. But I wouldn't be happy. I'd be angry. You don't want to win by 1.
I would be angry, but I think there was a good feeling to be had to know that if we can make it to the ACC championship game with Cam Ward as our quarterback, we'll take our chances. When we got to the ACC championship game, when we played Clemson, I had no confidence that we were going to be able to beat them, let alone be competitive. So that's new terrain to be in, because if we're in the ACC championship game, there's a good chance we can make it to the playoffs. And I'm thinking about the Miami program in the future of how this season can help propel us there.
Well, you have to look at the schedules. I know Clemson plays Pitt. One of them's going to lose. Clemson's only loss was to Georgia, so they're undefeated in the ACC. Yeah. They're both undefeated.
And for some reason, I think Clemson goes to Pitt.
They do go to Pitt. Yes, they do.
Yeah, so I wouldn't sleep on Pittsburgh not being able to upset Clemson. And
somebody goes to Louisville. I forgot whether it was Pitt or Clemson or both. So a lot of these teams are going to beat each other, like the SEC been beating each other. But Miami's sitting in a great position. Just can't screw it up.
Yeah, I got a couple questions for both Bruce and Gary. What happened to Popo Aguirre this past week? I didn't see him play much in the Florida State game. No one said anything.
He was sick the week before. He didn't even go to Louisville. He was sick. They wouldn't let him on a plane. He was sick. This week he was still a little weak, but he got in there to a certain extent. But he'll probably be full go Saturday. It wasn't like he was hurt. He was sick. I don't know whether he had a stomach virus, but it took a lot out of him, so to speak.
And let me just stay there with the linebackers. Gary, do you see any hope that we could probably start playing some of our young linebackers to kind of give Marinoa and Wesley Brissett an opportunity to breathe a little bit? We're this deep into the season.
Other than Popo, no, not really. I mean, are you going to throw Cam Pruitt out there at this point of the season?
They're going to get in blowouts, Gary. They will get in
blowouts. If the game,
in a blowout, yes, but in meaningful time, I think if they're not out there by this point of the season, unless there's an injury, I don't think you'll see it. They do like a few of the young linebackers, but they just need a little bit more seasoning, I think, before they feel comfortable putting them out there in the heat of the battle.
Okay, let's go to the secondary. I don't know if Damari is going to come back, but do we have anything there? Is there anybody that's even close to playing?
Saquon is playing more and more.
Yeah, I understand from the safety perspective, but I'm talking about from the cornerback perspective, because I think sometimes our cornerbacks just need like a little bit of rest to kind of. I mean, they're playing a lot of snaps, and I'm just wondering, are we just wearing those guys out?
In a little bit, maybe, yes, but I don't. If they had it, I think you'd have been seeing it, and I don't know. I mean, Dylan Day, I think, has been bouncing a little bit back and forth. I'm trying to think, but
Stafford's not getting much play.
But I don't think that they're comfortable putting him out there.
No hope. So there's no hope for Stafford. There's no hope for Mac.
Who's the other one?
Mac.
Mac missed too much time. I mean, he's behind. Athletically, he's good, and he will be good, I think, down the road. I don't see it happening for him. I don't see it happening for Stafford. No.
Williams was playing a little safety. I haven't really seen him out there that much lately either.
Markeith?
Markeith.
They talked about moving him to corner.
They're using him both ways.
Yeah, both ways, right.
Yep, they are. And Dylan Day is probably the closest guy that hasn't really played a ton yet that might. He's doing a great job on special teams, but we're getting down to the nitty gritty now, man. I rotations tightening before they lose.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's what Mario said. He was going to tighten the rotation.
yeah.
He said
But
that after the Virginia Tech game, and then he said it again after the Louisville game. He's going to just cut down. That's why you're not seeing as many of the D linemen rotating. You saw guys get in there. McConaughey got in there a few times. 44, he got in there a few times. But and I mentioned this before. I don't know what your thoughts are, Sebastian. Our line is getting in the backfield a lot. They had a couple of sacks, but a lot of times these quarterbacks, who I didn't even think they're that mobile, are escaping. They're getting out of there and they're still throwing the ball on the run. The kid from Louisville was spectacular with that.
But Bruce, I think you can tighten that up. As far as when these games are getting so critical, discipline and managing your rush lanes are going to be very, very important. Being able to do that. I know you guys want to make a play, but just playing within the scheme of the defense and managing your rush lanes are going to be key. I wanted to ask you guys a question. I thought Messidor flashed a little bit. He was playing a little bit on the outside.
A little bit. Yep.
Which is what he wanted to do, and that's what he wanted. That's what Gary talked about last week.
Is it time now to start letting some of these other D tackles like Justin Scott and Marley Cooks begin to play and get Messidor on the outside, so we can kind of consistently put.
Justin Scott went 12 reps in the game the other day. Did not grade out particularly well, at least by Pro Football Focus. I don't know what he did, with the coaches. Marley Cook got 14 reps the other day. So he's.
How many did Moten have?
Moten had 23.
Right, but again, I don't hear his name that often. I haven't heard their names
either.
And I've had NFL people tell me he's been playing pretty well, but I agree we don't hear his name a lot. Right. CJ Clark's another one that got 21 reps the other day, so they're trying to rotate those guys a little bit.
Okay, hey Gary, knowing that our defensive backfield didn't have the depth that it had, did we miss an opportunity by not moving Robbie Washington over the defensive backs on the defensive backfield and allow the opportunity to maybe get through spring and fall practice where we would have been able to have a little bit more depth there? Because I say that because I just think it's important to tell these kids up front, if you're are you really motivated by getting on the field, or you're really beholden to playing a certain position? Because I felt like we missed an opportunity to not let him go through spring practice and fall ball playing on the defensive side of the ball, because from the sounds of it, it looks like he's probably going to be on the team next year.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Right? So
I would agree.
If you agree with that, then we probably missed the year where we could have allowed him an opportunity to be groomed.
Yeah, they
developed into a cornerback.
They dabbled it a little bit in training camp. I saw him do that a little bit in training camp. I don't know why they didn't totally commit to it then, and then ended up coming back to it here during the season. Don't really have an opinion yet on whether he's going to make it as a cornerback. But I think it was getting pretty obvious that he was not going to make it as a receiver. So
I think that's very valid. And I agree with you. They could have even done it in the spring, because when I was down there a few times, I saw Nikar look real good. I saw Shamar Kirk look really good. I mean, he didn't drop a damn ball. And that's enough depth. And then, of course, before he got hurt, Trader was in the lineup too. He was getting reps. He got a lot of stuff in the spring game too. Yeah. So I could see that should have been the chance to put Washington at the DB position and see what he can do. Not now. I mean, what's he going to do now? He doesn't have the experience under his belt. He doesn't know what to do out there. He's on special teams. That's for damn sure.
I'm just thinking, if we go through a long playoff run, I mean, if we're fortunate enough to get through the ACC and we're in the playoffs and not having that type of depth in the backfield, it may catch up to us. I got two comments because I know two other folks want to get on the line of it. Is the first one is, we lost an offensive lineman who decommitted. Do you think some of that had to do with maybe the guy from Florida State, that the offensive lineman that we're really after, the Solomon kid, that maybe, we need to maybe create a spot for him? There may be interest there. And, I don't know.
Sebastian, you ought to be on the show, man, because that's what I was going to blurt out.
There was another kid they offered. They offered another kid too. The
A Georgia Tech
he,
commit, a Georgia Tech commit, I think it was.
yeah, he's from Duluth, Georgia. He's committed
Yeah.
Georgia Tech. Damola Afidahun. I don't know how to
Yeah.
pronounce his last name, but they have offered him, and they're trying to make a late run at him too. I think they're just seeing some other kids that they like better. That's all.
Okay. And my last comment is going to be, we got 4 more games that's pretty much going to define our season against teams that we should feel confident that from the talent wise we have on the team, we should be able to beat. But I'm just not taking anything for granted. I'm really bothered by all these lines of we're going to beat them by 20 points. We're going to beat them by 25 points. And I just think, I just feel like they're kind of setting us up where, look, if you're right, Bruce. I don't want to win all these next 4 games by 1 point, but I just want these kids to just stay focused and not to be all up into the hype. I'd love to have an 11-0 team going to Syracuse, knowing that it's all for the bunch of marbles to get to Charlotte and be focused on that than to overlook some of these opponents. This is a year where Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got to get out of this. And I think the media is trying to really set us up for this. I could care less about Cam throwing 200 yards and now we want to drop him to the 4th. If we win these next 4 games, Cam is going to be a big reason why, and he's going to be in New York.
Absolutely.
And so let's just kind of keep the main thing. We've been fortunate not to have injuries.
Where'd you hear that? Where'd you come up with that phrase?
We've been fortunate not to run into a whole rash of injuries and stuff like that. And all I'm saying, yes. And all I'm saying is I just want these kids to really enjoy the success that they've really earned. We're 2 years removed from Florida State waxing us 45-3. Okay. So there's not much to really complain about. And these next 4 games that we have to play, even though it may look like inferior opponents, we just don't need to take them that way and not believe in the hype with all these point spreads of 20 points, 25 points. That's just absolutely nonsense to me.
I think our offense is going to get a little more tweaked. I think Cam realizes there needs to be things that could help him, like I said, screen or whatever. Or we talked about this 2 weeks ago. How about some toss sweeps? Get to the outside.
Yeah.
All the defenses are jamming the line of scrimmage. Get to the outside.
Not really the air raid. He's got to have to create those plays.
The first couple of plays on the game Saturday, quick outs down the field. And, get those guys off the line of scrimmage. When you're playing a 2 deep zone, and they were physical. They were very physical with our guys. There should have been a few more pass interferences. But I just think that it's just time that maybe Miami will have a great game. This would be the perfect opponent. Manny Diaz and Duke. Get rid of these guys.
I think Duke is going to be a little tougher than we anticipate, but that's okay. My last comment is this.
Not on offense, Sebastian. Their offense is
not
bad.
on offense, but on defense they're going to be okay.
We should still be able to score on them.
Yeah, one player that made him a lot of money this year, and I think it's probably going to be a day 1 or day 2 draft pick, and that's probably Simeon Barrow. If he keeps playing,
a little small. Maybe day 2.
Maybe day 2. Maybe not day 1, but I'm telling you, this is a guy that's really
he's had a good year.
Yeah, he's having a good year. There was a bunch of those Clemson D linemen that went in the first round. I haven't heard from him since.
Yeah.
So, but this kid has showed, because I was under the impression, and I don't know what he's done. The kid, his teammate, the D lineman that went to Colorado, I haven't really seen much of what he's done. But Simeon Barrow has shown me that he could play, and he doesn't take plays off, which is something that all those scouts look at.
Yeah. Great show, guys.
All right, Sebastian. Thank you, man. Thanks for being part of it. Well, I can confirm I just got a text from a Canes fan with a picture of his ballot for the election, which is officially next Tuesday night. So we will not be having a CaneSport live show next Tuesday because everybody's going to be glued to the election results. But I can confirm that Cam Ward has received at least 1 vote for president of the United States. So
he's a write-in. They wrote him in.
Yep, it was a write-in. Yep.
Yeah, I already sent mine in. I'll be damned. I could have done the same thing.
Yep.
Put Matt Shodell in there.
he was a write-in. Let me see if I can get it up on my screen here.
Who's this guy, Bruce? Where do I sit at the Hard Rock? Somebody wants to know where I sit.
There it is right there.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That is great.
Yeah. All right, guys, let me take a minute here and talk to you guys about a store that's near and dear to so many Canes fans' heart, and that is CaneSwear. Without question, your ultimate authority for all your University of Miami merchandise needs. First, let's take a look at CaneSwear.
Welcome to CaneSport. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
And it doesn't matter, men, women, kids, babies, pets. Thank God Matt Shodell's not. He hates when I talk about pets getting dressed up in Canes gear. But CaneSwear has it all for any Canes fan. They're at the 2655 South University Drive in Davie. It's about 15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium, and they have all sizes, as well. And we're talking T-shirts, jerseys, hats, polos, hoodies, flags, decals, magnets, tailgate gear, whatever you need, they have it at CaneSwear. And I highly recommend, if you haven't gotten there and geared up for this season, do so. You'll also have the holidays coming up soon. We'll be talking about holiday shopping at CaneSwear, where you can shop for yourself, your friends, relatives. You can even tell your wife or girlfriend, go over to CaneSwear and get me some stuff for the holidays. So 2655 South University Drive in Davie, or you could shop them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at caneswear.com. Check them out. Without a doubt, the number one destination for all of your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. All right, this next guy I've been saving for a little later in the show because, I get to watch him drink the whole night, and he's pounding those glasses of wine throughout the whole show. And last week I got him on early because I said, you know what, let's see what Jake is like before he's hammered. Honestly, it was a little boring. I'm not gonna lie. It was not the ultimate Jake. That he wasn't giving us what he's really capable of giving us. So I said, you know what, tonight I'm gonna wait till about 9:38 in the evening before I bring Jake on, and let's see what the hammered Jake is like. Jake, welcome back to CaneSport Live.
Oh yeah, look at his eyes. He's
the
gone.
eyes, man. We got the glaze working. Jake, your microphone's muted.
Microphone.
Oh, there we are. I would say last week I was more intoxicated. Actually, I was drinking whiskey after that Louisville win. That hit me good, but no, I thought I was feeling it pretty good last week, but no, this week. Well, actually, the problem is everybody, BK Hurricane and T-Dogg and everyone, they kind of hit a lot of the points that I was going to hit on, but so I'll go with a mixture of good and bad this week. The first thing I'll look at is, if you put it into perspective, you look, Ohio State was hanging on by a thread against Nebraska.
Yeah, they could have lost, should have lost.
You should have lost. Well, you could say that about us. So you know what? Keep winning. And for what it's worth, before this game, I missed like the first 20 minutes of the game, so I rewatched it before the show today. And actually, I mean, solid game. The players, Cam Ward didn't put the ball in harm's way. We finally saw the run game come together, fully come together. The defense was pretty solid. That 42-yard run, I watched it like 7 times before. That was just such a fluke. The quarterback didn't even think he was getting the ball snapped to him. And
It looked like he fumbled the snap.
Yeah. And then, even the play after that too, I rewatched that several times. Reuben Bain was held like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
The guy may as well have just jumped on his shoulders and just rode him. It was crazy. The way they didn't call that as holding. And then bottom line is we won by 22 points. Florida State was never even close in that game. It was a beatdown. And when you factor too, and a lot of guys have said this, Mike Norvell didn't play that game to win. He played that game not to get the shit kicked out of him.
Mm-hmm.
That defense played scared the whole game. They let us run. That's why I'm not like.
I don't know, Jake, if they let us run. I don't know about that. They had guys that were just busting.
I mean, they didn't want us. They didn't want us to run like that.
Let's put it this way. They wanted more for us to just break off 8, 10, 12-yard runs than they wanted for Cam to nail them with 10, 40-yard passes.
I think we had 45 passes of over 20 yards coming into the game, and they were pretty hell-bent on not allowing those plays.
Yeah, they were playing 2 deep safeties the whole time. And so, they pretty much said, hey, here's the run game.
That's exactly what Georgia did last year. 2 deep safeties. They made us keep it in front of them. They kept it in front of them, and they're pretty good tacklers, and their DBs were draped on our receivers. So, that's the kind of game you're going to see.
So, all things considered, 8-0. Great start. Keep it going. And for what it's worth, again, this was a solid game. Maybe you'd like to see a couple more touchdowns, a little more. Bruce, I agree with you so much. I mean, like, get a running back, especially with what Martinez can do out of the bag. That pickup he had on 3rd and 20.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's my point. Get the ball to the guys. There's no DBs hanging on them. They got a linebacker covering these guys. They're not going to stop him out in the open like that. He just he knocked somebody out. I thought the guy was not going to ever get up. But that's what you need to do. Get the guys in space that are available. Any one of our guys, the tight ends, the backs, the receivers, could make big plays. It's not just wide receivers.
Yeah, the tight ends. Arroyo has been so criminally underused this season. Every time they go to him, he makes something happen. He's
got single coverage. They're not double teaming him. They definitely blanketed Restrepo, and they should have. After the first 6 games, they weren't. He was doing everything he wanted. Now they had a safety high on him and the cornerback, and so you have to look away.
That brings me to the next point. I'm sorry.
Are you drinking while you're talking? I haven't seen you take a sip yet.
Here we are.
Gary's happy now.
We've been going out talking here.
What do you have, a cab or a Merlot? What is that?
No, Rosso di Montalcino.
Okay.
It's a Tuscan wine. That's kind of like an everyday drinker out of Tuscany. I shouldn't say Tuscan. It's not. Tuscan isn't a region. So there you go, Gary. There's your drinking for you.
I know what I'm doing over here on the other side of this game.
You want to get me riled up here. So I'll get riled up now. 8-0, fantastic. 2 problems I have is that without Cam Ward, I think we're 6-2. Even more so than that, I think where I find most of the fans are anxious is not necessarily this year. And if it is this year, it's not necessarily. I think most people think we're 11-1 at worst, 12-0 seems pretty realistic at this point. But it's looking to the playoffs, to the ACC championship game, and even more so looking to 2025. We are not going to have Cam Ward, the eraser, as you call him. He's gone. perhaps you can find something like that in the portal, but Cam Wards aren't there in the portal all the time. You can't count on that.
There's only one of them this time around. Will Howard's done okay. Miami fished around a little bit with Will Howard before Cam Ward came on board, and Will Howard's done okay for Ohio State, but Cam Ward's very unique.
I mean, given how much talent he has, he's
got
good.
Jeremiah Smith, who's just tearing it up.
He's got 2 first-round pick wide receivers.
No doubt.
He's not great. He's probably better than what they had with McCord. His 6 interceptions last week.
No doubt.
But I think our coordinators are trash. Even like this, we stumbled into the run game. It's not like that. This was planned out. That air raid was looking to go, and then it fell apart.
I don't know that that's.
I don't know about that, Jake. From the very beginning, Fletcher was going through them like a hot knife through butter. They couldn't stop him either. So you say you stumbled into it. I don't know about that.
We got pass happy. The second possession we had, and twice in the first quarter, that wound up in punts, or maybe early second quarter.
I think it was an obvious adjustment to make. I don't think they stumbled into it. I think it was an adjustment they made very early, which is to their credit, that they were going to need to run the ball in this game because of the way Florida State was playing defense.
I guess it's just I don't think we've ever, at least against a Power 4 opponent, been in a situation where our coordinators put together a plan that the other team is reacting to instead of us.
That's fair.
That's what you guys talked about this morning, Gary, about why is Miami's offense reacting to the defense? We're supposed to dictate and let them deal with it.
That's fair. We do just
deal with it. They put too deep.
Yeah, it's not unfair to bring that up as a subject. I mean,
you have to have an answer for the too deep. Like I keep screaming about screens.
Gary, you keep saying this team hasn't reached its potential, and I agree.
Has not.
But what I think the situation is that our players are at where they're going to be at. Our coordinators are not putting them in the best position to reach that full potential. Because
I don't know if that's
the first 7 games we were destroying teams. Well, we didn't destroy those 3 in a row, but we still scored a lot of points. This is is this the lowest we had? 36? Is this the lowest?
Was that because of Dawson, or was that because Cam Ward is just that amazing?
Florida State.
a little bit of both. I mean, Dawson's having a good year. I mean, he is. I mean, I don't know that he was great against Florida State. I thought there was a lot more he could have done, but he's had a pretty good year. And yes, of course, Cam Ward helps him a lot.
His screen game is horrendous. Whether, like Bruce said, the running back or tight end screen is non-existent. The wide receiver screen, when they line up in that like trips formation, it's like, all right, okay, there it is. Sideline pass,
and they blew it up.
Let's go.
They blew it up. They got us. They didn't gain any yards. We didn't gain any yards.
I think they ran that 7-8 times in the game, and every single time it got blown up because it's so predictable. It's so easy to sniff out, and it's like, nothing to Arroyo. We have very talented running backs, whether it be a screen pass or just design in a little wheel route or hitch route or something that we've got guys in the backfield.
What did you think of the play at the end where Arroyo threw that touchdown pass to Ward?
That was pretty wild.
That was pretty good.
I'll give him credit on that.
I think I agree with you. I want to see a couple more. It doesn't have to be gadget plays. Just do something that takes advantage of your over pursuit. Florida State is like Miami. They're very aggressive.
Don't use that in garbage time. Like, put them on their heels. Get that going in the beginning of the game. Don't throw that out there when you're up 3-4 touchdowns and you're just running up the score. Because again, like at that point, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go to my gadget play. Who cares? Whatever happens, we're up 4 touchdowns. There's 5 minutes.
Yeah, but you got to think like this. If they have plays like that in their back pocket, you don't want to show too many things. They were winning. I guess that's something that they showed. They may do the same formation and then do something else off of it. A lot of these things that you're seeing are not meant to be more than once, and then the next time the defense sees that, they do something off the same formation. That's coaching. That's smart. I don't think you're going to see too many gadgets. We don't need gadgets. Right?
We're more talented.
We may be needing them in the playoffs, but right now we got to figure out how we stop. Duke is going to do what Florida State did. They have very aggressive defense. We've seen Manny. We know what he's going to do. So they have to come up with a few things, not gimmicks, but go to certain things that they know can stop that big pass rush. Maybe draw plays, swing passes out in the flat, toss sweeps, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't seen one.
Get the ball out quick too. I mean, that's not every play needs to be 40 yards, and especially with Manny Diaz is going to bring it this week, and their offense is so bad. It's pathetic.
Their offense is
bad.
I'd like to see a fake handoff and let Ward roll to his right and dump it off to Arroyo coming across the field on a crossing route.
100%.
Who's going to stop that?
Yeah, probably not, because they're probably going to be bringing the house a lot this weekend. And
okay. But if he rolls out away from that, he could run, he could throw short.
If you put it over that blitz,
safeties, and you're taking away the long pass. That's an easy play. They used to run that all the time.
It's a lot of yards. And Arroyo's proven he can get the yards after catch. He can move.
Right.
So
obviously Williams did it. Williams did it in that one play where he got this little shuffle and took off to the sidelines. And that was the game against, who was that against? Cal? Or Louisville? Was that the Louisville game or the Cal game? I forget.
I think that was Cal.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, before we let you go, Chris Wright wants you to have another drink on him.
Hey, one other question I got for you. DJ,
wait, first take a sip of wine. Take a sip of. Right. We got to keep. There we go. We got to keep Christopher Wright happy. All right.
Empty.
Ed, one more question.
DJ Pickett. What's your feel on that? Do we?
They're going to go down. I don't feel good about it.
I don't feel good about it either.
I think he's got to show up this weekend.
Yeah, he was supposed to come last weekend and ended up saying he had to go to homecoming or something. But I don't see a lot of urgency there on his part.
I think we're going to get Hanks, and I may even like him better, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure about a 6'4" corner.
Boom. But no,
I'm not sold on a 6'4" corner. Where's the quickness? He's fast, but he might not be quick.
It's got Cormani written all over it. I like. He's in a weird spot.
Cormani's a head case, and I don't.
Yeah, I think he comes from a better
something wrong with that
situation.
family, I shouldn't be saying that on the air, but he's got issues.
That was a little harsh of me, but yeah, like he's kind of in a no man's land for position, because it's like, you don't see a lot of 6'4".
I want people who want to be here, and right now Hanks, I don't know why he picked Florida other than his legacy. I get it.
Yeah,
the other day I was out to dinner Friday with Edger and James and Clinton Portis and a bunch of other guys, and his son commits. The kid wants to be here, Camden.
Yeah,
he does. That's what I want. I want people who want to be here.
He's
just playing one against the other for money. I mean, he's got relatives here. His cousin Booker Pickett Sr. played here. His kid is here. The other kid, Cannon Pickett,
he's coming.
He's absolutely coming. Absolutely, it's not even an issue. He's coming.
He's just
I don't want to steal his thunder, but I've already been told that. That's what he's doing.
Gary, one other thing.
Hurry up, quick.
Next week, do an election show. We're not going to know if.
I know everyone wants to watch the results. We're not going to try to force the show next week.
We're not going to know until 3 a.m.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll have the Lamar show next Wednesday.
It might not even be a winner. Who knows what's
but everybody's going to be. I know everyone's engaged in that for next week. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with this show. We'll have the Lamar show next Wednesday.
Yeah, Lamar will cover all the election results, not only in Florida but all over the United States.
All right, let's real quick go to Rocky. He's been waiting patiently. Rocky, you're on CaneSport Live.
Good evening, fellas. How we doing tonight?
Doing good. What's up, Rock?
What's up, Bruce? You really believe that they're going to tweak things and come up with new screens and do this and do that with their running backs and all that for this coming game versus Duke. Mario does not do that. Mario looks
You
at
asked me a
film.
question. Do I say what I think they should do. I'm not sitting here telling you I know what they're going to do because I don't talk to them that often.
Yeah,
I
but
have a phone number, but I'm not calling them.
Yeah, but you know as well as I do, Mario and Shannon Dawson are going to come out. We're going to run our stuff. Confident Cam is going to look across the line. He's going to look at the linebacker and say, "We're going to run here. We're about to throw it here with the slant route. We're going deep," and they're going to try to do it. And we're going to see if it works or not against Manny's blitz.
I still think they're going to throw a screen or two next week or do something to the outside. By the way, you just brought this up. I could have sworn that I saw Ward point to the hole that I don't know whether it was Fletcher or no, I think it was Martinez ran through. I don't think it was in the first time, but when they were near the goal line and he scored, I think I saw him point to that spot because he ran right into that hole. Did you see
on the first drive?
No, not the first drive. A little bit later on, maybe in the third or fourth quarter when they scored on a 1 or 2 yard run, he pointed to a spot and he ran right there.
It's possible. It's been a theme of the season.
Yep.
So I don't know.
I don't necessarily believe. Listen, I say what I feel. I always do. I think they should do these things. Look, I've seen in the NFL they do that constantly, and Nick Saban is notorious for screens. I remember they were playing somebody. I forgot who. Maybe it was Auburn years ago when Auburn won at the end of the game. But in that game, Auburn had a lead, and he called the screen, and the guy went 80 yards for a touchdown. That's what you do when you dial up a blitz.
Yeah, you mentioned Alabama. I think Trent Richardson in Alabama had like 80% of his yards from screens called by the offensive side from Alabama.
Yes. That was
he made a living on
it. You got it right.
Yeah.
So why not use it? Why not? What are you going to?
No, look, I agree. I agree with you, but Mark, they're just look after watching the offense the past 3 years, and Mario's mentality is we're going to run our stuff and see if you can beat it. That's just.
But I just mentioned it before, and if you look at last year's Georgia Tech game, they held us in check because they were playing too deep, and we were still playing into their hands and throwing the ball, and he was getting picked, Van Dyke. You can't do that. I understand not trying to go deep when you're playing too deep. I get it. But there's other things you could do when you're playing too deep and you got 5, 6 guys at the line of scrimmage coming after your quarterback. You've got to. You got mismatches all over the place. But if you're sending everybody down the field and you got a back or a Chris Johnson or an Arroyo one-on-one with a linebacker with 20 wide open yards in front of you, that's what you do. You don't sit in the pocket and get sacked. You don't do that.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with you. Gary, I actually wanted to come on and speak to Matt calling out my thread the other day on the CaneSport board, because in his article, he mentioned one of my posts about being ecstatic. I should be being ecstatic, but not being. I guess I'm one of the guys that are swayed. I guess I wrote that wrong because I'm happy that we're 8-0. I'm enjoying watching a generational quarterback, which we went out and got. I could go to hell to what the pundits are saying right now about Cam Ward and Miami's lucky and all this junk that I'm reading. I could care less about that. We got him. He's ours. Somebody else could have got him, but they didn't. Too bad.
No, nobody else, because the Florida State fools have been saying that this entire offseason, and now through 8 games, and he was never going there. Get it through your head, Seminole fans. He was never going there.
It was always NFL.
No, yeah, you're right. But I'm saying, like, after the fact now, if you go to certain places in social media and you to some of these places now, and people are mentioning, they're jealous, guys. Look, they're jealous. Okay, I mean, it's just Miami hate. It's typical.
There's a lot to be jealous about there.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But my point was, and I think I was too strong on my post, was that not being ecstatic is because I'm a Miami purist. I see the number 1 offense in the country. I see what kind of talent we have in Cam Ward and what we're doing, with our scoring. And damn it, I want a national title because on offense, we're good enough to go get a national title this year. But knowing the mantra that I've known for the past 30 years with football, and you guys know the same, what's always been said: offense scores points, defense wins championships. And when I look at our defense, man, and that's what's I'm not unhappy.
It might.
But it's
It
gonna
may
be
not
so
get us
dis-
to the finish line. It might not get us
exactly.
to the finish line.
It's going to
There's
be
no
so
doubt.
yeah, it's going to be so disappointing. We get through these 4 games, which I think we can do, and go 12-0, because I don't think anybody's going to outscore our offense. Okay, I don't see it. We get to the ACC championship, we may win or we may lose, but we get into the playoffs. Let's say we win the ACC championship game, then we got the bye. We get to the playoffs, and our defense just can't do enough. That's going to be so frustrating to sit there and say, okay, we had this once in a lifetime generational quarterback in this offense, and we just couldn't get over the hump. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like that's where the
I
frustration comes.
I would rather have it. Listen, if we're not going to do it this year, whatever. It's been a hell of a ride. It turned everything around. But if Mario continues to recruit, we will have a defense like you want. We may not have this much of a dynamic offense, but still, we had Steve Walsh. We had guys that did things. Look at what's his name? Why is my mind going blank? And Dorsey. He wasn't like this, but he was surrounded by talent. He didn't make mistakes. He led this team, and he destroyed mostly everybody. So I would rather – I mean, yeah, if we don't win it this year, I get it. We have to point to the defense unless they rise up. But we're working our way towards 75, 80 guys that are going to be really good. And you know what? I don't even know if it was that great back in the day. You know, it's hard to say. We had great –
Oh, come on.
Great,
Are you kidding me?
God. Bruce.
I didn't finish.
Cut now. Come on. Are you kidding me?
Finish.
There's no comparison.
Listen, we had a bunch of guys that were on the team that were not 5 stars or 4 stars. They played their asses off, and they bought into this.
But there's no comparison to the talent level back in the day and what we have right now. No
I understand that. I get
None.
that.
Not even close.
But
So much more work to do.
you had guys that were playing. They weren't that highly recruited high school kids, but they played really well together.
And that's something, Gary, that is kind of a back and forth between, and look, I'm an older fan, between some of the guys that were around for all that and some of the younger fans that weren't, you know, and they're looking at this going, this is fantastic. This is great. Shut up, you clown. And I'm like, in the grand scheme of Miami Hurricanes teams, top 20, maybe. And I'm getting called crazy, you know, maybe higher. I don't know, but
maybe a little, maybe higher, but yeah,
maybe higher. But what I'm saying is, you know, when you start comparing Miami to Miami, right? Almost, but we're still not there yet. And that's what I'm trying to say by when I'm saying I'm not ecstatic.
Not even close.
Gary, we had this discussion the other day, and you weren't there. They were talking about when Mark with Caesar and those guys, we were all together the other night, and Lamar and McGuire were all there at Komodo's Friday night. And they were talking about this. Their front 7 was incredible. You can't tell me that Roland Smith and whatever his name, I forgot, were great corners. They weren't. But the front 7 was so dominant that those guys had picks constantly because the pressure. Look at the Houston game. We destroyed them, but our DBs weren't so
Roland Smith, I don't think got drafted. He didn't get drafted.
I didn't say he got drafted, but we
no. I mean, so yeah, it was comparable. I mean, you know,
that's my point. We don't have a dominant front 7.
But there was such overwhelming elite talent in so many spots, and we don't have close to elite talent right now.
Right. In fact, not only elite, Gary, but Jimmy Jones was a 3rd-round pick by the Dallas Cowboys. He was a bench. He was on the bench a lot. But he was spectacular. We had depth at the front 7. We were really good. Really
all right, Rocky. Thanks for getting in here, man. We'll see you next time. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
Okay, Gary. Appreciate it. Thanks for getting me on, man.
Have a great night. Final guest of the night, James the Italian Stallion has popped in.
Oh, he made comments. I think I saw him on the comments, right?
What's up, James?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good.
Finally home for a change, so not at work.
Yeah, I think last time you might have been in a car or something like
that. Yeah, that was before the Gator game, if you can believe that one. So yeah, no, I wish I could be on more, but it's been crazy with these hurricanes and everything, like the real hurricanes. So, but yeah, no, guys. You know, it was funny. Funny enough story. I'm watching the game, and my wife is watching it next to me. and I'm getting upset. Like, I'm literally upset. I'm like, we're not going to win by like, more than whatever and so forth. And then she said to me, she's like, but at least they won. Like, what are you complaining about? And I had to stop and think about it for a second. And I'm like, yeah, how quickly do I forget 2 years ago where it was just unwatchable to get beat down like that, and we should be glad that we won. That's the thing, and so forth. And I, we've had some rough years. We've had some rough years, and I'm grateful for the win. I think that I was expecting a little bit more, but like you pointed out, Gary, there is still athletes there on that team. There's still athletes on Florida State. Maybe they don't mesh collectively, but they've got. There are some 4 or 5-star guys still on that team, and they did have a head start ahead of us. And what Mario's done in a couple years here, I mean, Cam, big part of it, but it is amazing. I mean, look at the offensive line, how they run block. Look at how certain positions just look the part better. And I'm not just trying to criticize previous coaching staffs, but they actually look like 300-pounders up front. They don't look like top heavy with little thin toothpick legs. Love them to death, but dang, did we used to get bullied and pushed around. So it's nice to see us dictating it right up front. Now, coming up with these games, the one thing that I do want more than anything is that the guys just come out there and really win. Gary, you and me talked a couple weeks ago, and you mentioned they need to learn how to win, and you're right. I mean, it's baffling because
even Cam has never won before.
Yeah, he really hasn't. I mean, would they go 6-6 last year? Is that what they did?
5-7, I think.
5-7. Yeah, I mean, so the thing is and they would have been worse if it wasn't for him. So I mean, yeah. So that's
he's learning too. He's the best player on the team, and he's learning too.
Yeah, and so that's the thing that like we as fans need to kind of really think about. And yeah, of course we want the 10 or 11 win seasons and things of that nature, but the truth of the matter is we've got to prove it on the field. And there's a couple of teams on this schedule, Duke, surprisingly, and Georgia Tech, that we owe these next couple of weeks. Now, by I mean, I'd love to get the win. Can we win by at least a 2-touchdown margin? That'd be beautiful. I mean, especially with what happened last year in the Georgia Tech game, and you picked the worst game to play anyway without that fiasco at the end of what happened and so forth. So I hope they come out focused. I hope they bring it like they need to. And truth be told, I hope that it was impressive to the recruits that were in attendance, and I was glad that the fans showed up. Now, Gary, I guess my question to you is, I mean, it's a noon game, it's Duke, I mean, it's not basketball. I mean, will the fans show up on Saturday? I don't even know what the weather forecast is supposed to be like.
Nice.
50,000, be 50,000 there.
Gotcha. Are there any more recruits that maybe didn't make it last week that are supposed to be in attendance, since it is kind of getting to the nitty-gritty?
We're still putting that together. I don't have that answer for you yet, but we'll have that on the site in the next couple of days.
You're trying to get Pickett, but who knows?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, they're trying to get Pickett, and there'll be some guys there.
Yeah.
Bruce, wait, on Friday night, so I told you I was with all these guys, so I'm talking to I shouldn't really say his name, but he's a coach on the team. And he was telling me that Mario was furious this week. He laced into the coaches and the DBs, all of them. The DB coaches, you can figure it out who they are, and the underlings of the DB coaches were just getting lashed. He was furious about their technique and lunging and their eye discipline. The whole week was mostly about that. But again, he scared the crap out of the coaches because he was furious. And I'm glad he did that. He needed to do that. They looked much better, much more disciplined, much more. They had, there's some still tackles that they're missing, but they played a lot better. I thought they were on top of the receivers more, and they were not like 8 yards off the ball. So, yeah, I think whatever he did worked. I just want to let you know that I talk to these guys, and they kind of tell me what goes on, but I don't want to make that go too loud. But yeah, he has their attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean they've got a big opportunity here, and truth be told, I don't want to give Duke's offense that it has been looking horrible any semblance of hope, because momentum's a real thing, especially in a big game like this. And Duke has been a thorn in Miami's side, it really has been. I've joked around that for as many times as Miami's beaten them in basketball, they've beaten us in football, and that's just how it kind of goes or what have you. But realistically, A couple of guys that I had questions about. I don't know if they're just hurt or if they're still a year away, Gary, or if you think that they're going to be those guys that you mentioned that might be, sent off. Do you see anything coming from like what's his name? There were a couple of O linemen that were from that class that came in with Sampson and Francis. Do you think any of those guys are going to be contributing at this point?
I'm trying to think who you're.
Well, let's see here. It was the one kid that was from the foreign kid. He was from Australia or something, and he just played organized football for a year or something. He's a Samoan kid, isn't he? That came in with Francis Mauanoa. He's on the team.
I'm going to pull up the list of alignment here. Yeah, it's not coming to me at the top of my head who you're talking about.
Tinlaw or something like that.
Tinlaw.
Oh, Frankie Tinlaw.
Yeah.
He's doing okay. I mean, he's not going to be a cast off by any stretch of the imagination. He's just getting started. Let me see here. I'm just going through the O linemen. A guy that who I like. There's a kid named Nino Francavilla. He's a freshman from Toronto, Ontario. He's going to be a center. I really like what I'm seeing out of him. I think Tommy Kinsler will eventually be good.
What about Ryan Rodriguez, by the way? He played in that Gator game and got hurt. Is he done, or what's going on with him?
He's hurt.
Who?
Ryan Rodriguez?
Oh, Ryan Rodriguez got hurt. Yeah.
He's hurt. So he's done for the year? There's no chance of him
it looks like he's done for the year.
Wow.
Everybody else, I mean, Antonio Tripp was a bust, but Frankie Tittlow's doing fine. Too soon to really say on Juan Minaya.
That's what I was also asking about Tripp. Tripp was, I guess he's kind of a bust because he
transferred from Maryland
to IMG, and even at IMG, he got pushed around a little bit when they took him with these undersized.
Derek Plas, too soon to say, but he's a good-looking freshman, and the guy that I was disappointed in the other night was Matthew McCoy. He's been starting a lot this year. I didn't think he looked very good against Florida State. I hope he gets better because he's got a lot of potential.
Bruce, was it you that just said a few calls back, or was it the caller themselves that said that the best line is when Jalen Rivers is at right guard or left guard, and you have Markel Bell at left tackle because it looks like
that was Matt that says that. But I agree with him.
Yeah, look, those guys are really good. You move Rivers to the inside. Bell has played well. He gets beat a few times. Somebody comes around the edge, but he's very physical, and you could definitely run behind those two guys. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be, but still. But that Mario loves Bell. He keeps talking about him all the time.
He's been a pure developmental project, and he's progressing so much faster than I think they expected him to. I'm not sure they expected him to contribute as much this year as he has, but he came real hard in the summer, had a great training camp, and has responded great to the coaching of Alex Mirabal. An absolute success story for a kid coming from a JUCO.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you think they're going to play Bryant more at defensive end? Because he actually played pretty well when Bain was out, and I didn't know if he would get a little bit more reps because between you and me, I think he's doing better than Tyler Barron, who's kind of been a disappointment these last couple of games.
Tyler Barron's a little more physically. Tyler Barron's a little more physically ready. And he played better against Florida State than he's been playing. But Malik Bryant absolutely will get playing time. He's doing a great job, and he's a guy. He's one of. If you take 5 guys on the team that are really developing, he would certainly be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I hope some of these young linebackers, step up because there's a reason why Kiko is playing. You see what you have with Kiko, and I just hope that he can get it together these next few games. He did okay in pass coverage, but he is what he is. There's still some positions that definitely need to be upgraded. And Mario, I trust in this coaching staff. But thanks for the time tonight, guys. Love you.
James.
And take care.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Make sure you join us again.
I think Barron gets in the backfield. He's had a few face masks here and there, but he chased He chased somebody down the other day.
Yeah, he played much harder against Florida
Yeah, much
State.
harder. Yes, he did.
I thought he was really I thought he disappeared for like a month. In all honesty.
But he did hurt himself in one of the games. One of the games.
Yeah, he was a little nicked up, but he was healthy enough to play. I didn't feel he was playing hard enough against Florida State. He was playing hard enough, and he made a very good impact. All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight. Again, programming note: no show next Tuesday. It's election night. Enjoy watching the returns. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another CaneSport Live. In the meantime, we got the Lamar Thomas show tomorrow night. And then we'll also have the Lamar Thomas show next Wednesday night. So make sure you join us
next week, Gary. The next time we're on, we're going to be 10-0 the next time we see.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
let's hope. Let's hope. Yeah, my 8-0 sign here will be obsolete here, hopefully in a few days.
Just keep the one on the right the same. The one on the left, you just keep changing. That's all.
But the idea is be happy, folks. 8-0 in the heart of the national race. That's at the end of the day, regardless of how the games have been played out, which has really been very normal. There's always going to be a few games that surprise you, that go down to the wire, that are in the fourth quarter that you didn't expect. Cal and Virginia Tech absolutely were those games. 8-0, great place to be right now.
And that's despite the fact that Kelvin Harris didn't pick us to go 12-0. He said 10-2.
Yeah, that's hysterical. The one year he didn't pick us is the year we make it 12-0. Anyway, thanks to everybody for watching tonight. Thanks for CaneSport for sponsoring. We'll see you next time, everybody.